you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
The following program is rated TV MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
He said he was done forever.
He is done.
The end of this Trump era.
There'll be new faces and new voices.
The final chapter of Donald Trump.
I don't know what the future of this party can be.
The movement we started is only just beginning.
The entire system went after him.
Mar-a-Lago was raided by FBI.
New York indictment.
A sweeping indictment in
Donald
Georgia.
Trump says he's been indicted again.
I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear.
But he never stopped fighting for you.
I will never stop fighting for you, your family, and our magnificent country.
And we will win, win, win. We're going to win, win, win.
Thank you, President Trump, for fighting for us. The greatest political comeback in American history.
Donald Trump has been elected president.
Now, it's time we fight for you.
The golden age of America, that's what we have.
The best is yet to come. Coming this spring to MXNBC, a groundbreaking series that will change the U.S. government and the world forever. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, under the direction of former star of The Apprentice, Donald Trump, will challenge 3 million contestants to carry their load or hit the road. That's right. We'll be asking every government employee to prove their value.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
Just like in a good old-fashioned meritocracy.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming in.
What would you say it is that you do around here?
I mean, a lot of days I really do stuff. It's just there's not that much going on today.
I helped Tanner and Blaze replace those heavy 5-gallon water containers.
Tune in each week as Elon and Vivek measure every federal employee's value and efficiency.
And time. So your study on how cocaine enhances the sex drive of Japanese quail. What's that worth to the American taxpayer?
I think it's priceless.
And get ready for the savings, as those that don't make the cut get shown the door.
The president wants to tell you something.
Firstly, thank you for coming in today, and second, you're fired.
The Emmy Award-watching viewers of Deadwood and Idiocracy present Doge Days, the purge of the U.S. government.
There is a whole forest of dead wood out there. We got to get chopping, buddy.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Team Shit Show 2.0. And tonight with me is Chris. Hello, Chris. Christopher Moore. Thank you for joining me tonight. I had a couple other people, and then something happened and they weren't able to join. So he was sweet enough to say yes, he would help me out a little bit tonight. So I wouldn't be doing it by myself since it's called Team Shit Show. But I thought we'd start off with this cute little skit. It's a skit. It's really adorable. It's basically like if the United States and England were dating, like two people. And so I thought I would start out with that to give everybody a good laugh before we got busy. So here we go.
Oh, hi, USA. Didn't even see you there, which is weird because you put on a lot of land.
Hi, Britain.
I've just felt so free the last few centuries, what with the breakup and all, never looked back.
You tried to get back together in 1812.
Yes, well, anyway, I don't even think about us anymore.
That's great.
Take me back, please.
Britain?
Is it another man? Is it France?
Oh, gross, no. Okay, I will tell you why. When we dated, the sun never set on your cheating. You made a pass at every country you saw. Australia, India, Bahamas.
Bahamas.
Okay, there's just respect. I can't date a guy that I've beaten in war.
Okay. I was not trying my hardest.
Okay, plus you are desperate, okay? We broke up and then you found every excuse you could to get me over. Like, oh, USA, I'm having a war. Oh, come help me. Oh, USA, I'm having another war. Oh, I'm having an Olympics. Come destroy me in every event. desperate. Am I right, Switzerland?
I'm staying out of this.
Look, I celebrate our breakup with fireworks. Okay, I blow things up.
Fine then. I don't need you or your bad credit.
Okay, I don't need a boyfriend who plays the wrong football.
Ah, right. See you later. Have a good obesity epidemic.
Get a dental plan.
I just love it. I think it's so funny. I thought it was adorable when I first saw it, and I thought everyone else might get a good laugh out of it. Because we're always teasing each other, and we're always going back and forth, about which country's better and which people are better and all that. I think it's great. And I just got through watching a series, and it's called oh God, I can't remember the name of it right this second. It was about an American football coach from high school that's hired to coach a football team in England because the woman won the team from her very rich husband who owned the team, and she just wanted to destroy the team. So she tried to hire the worst coach ever, and he was an American football player. Or coach, and coaching like basically soccer, what we call soccer, but they call football. And I can't remember the name of it right this second. I just went blank. But it was funny. It was a really good show, and it was mostly British actors in it. But I laughed and I enjoyed the heck out of it because they really do have some really good entertainment. Some really good British TV shows, I think. But so how have you been today? What have you been up to this week, or basically what's going on with stuff with you?
I've just been trying to catch up on news. When I travel, I don't get into the news too much. And at home, I've got all my international news already piped into the house and everything. So I've just been looking into all that. Today, I sort of took a day off and was working on a music video. So enjoying these last few days, and can't wait till after the inauguration. It's insane what they've done these last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to mess it up. I think we're all just so ready to move on and with positive actions and positive solutions being put in place. And the last 2 weeks just threw some roadblocks up. So
the news I agree with you. I think a lot of people are just fed up, but we still have until next week, which is scary. And I'm going to be doing a live stream on another channel, for the whole inauguration type stuff. But I'm still afraid, because I don't know what's going to happen or what might be coming up or who's got what planned. You know what I mean? But I want to say hello to everybody in the chat. I was going to say hi to Kronos. I got to go up a little bit and see. Oh, that's right. I see Baby Girl. Hello. And Jackie Blue. She's one of my wrenches. She helps out a lot. And so does Kronos. But, and then I just saw Travis just joined us on YouTube. Now I can't see who's over in, over on X or Rumble because they don't have it set up that way. That's what I ask for every time we're done with a stream. It asks me what can they do to improve it, and I said, please fix it so I can chat with everybody. Instead of I have to have one on this phone, one on that iPad or whatever, and another one open up there just so I can stream to different places and be able to post over there. Like when I post links and things like that. And it just sucks that we can't do it. But before we start talking about, the confirmation hearings and stuff, I had a few other little things that I saw come across my timeline that I don't really want to put on for tomorrow because they're just little type things. But I thought I'd share a few of them before we got into it. So here's one. It was from Elon Musk. And it's a video that came on his timeline because he posted it. And I don't know for sure if he's the one that took it, but it's supposed to be one of his rockets, I guess, that exploded. And so I'm going to share this video real quick. Here you go, make sure it's turned up. I don't think there's so much noise.
Hurry, get a picture. Ready?
Good, it's about to fall on top of us.
See it. Guys, oh my gosh. What is this? Are we going to fucking die? Look up. Right there.
So pretty. It looked like, I thought it was a comet or an asteroid breaking up, but when I realized,
crazy. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Yeah, you know what was crazy about that? I watched the beginning of it and I thought, okay, everything's good before it turns off. And then I went back and looked later and saw that the separation didn't take place. Well, I saw him blow it up and I thought, well, that's the end of that. Man, that booster went back and landed and got caught by Megzilla.
yeah, I just thought it was really cool because he seemed to handle it really well when he said that, he said, success is uncertain, but entertainment is guaranteed. So I thought that was nice for him to take it that well, because
that was a whole new, the part up there where you store all the stuff and that goes out and comes back with the wings. That was a whole new one today. It's about 40 feet longer than the other one and a lot heavier. So that part of the test, was absolutely a first try at it. And it's not uncommon for the first tries to not go everything is planned. But, it certainly was spinning out of control. The only thing that I wasn't aware of is that they could blow up half of it and still land that other piece. So somehow it got far enough away from the self-detonation safety thing which I was watching it, and when they blew it up, it was going 12,000 kilometers an hour. So it was going to land out in the middle of the ocean. I do all those launches and work for NASA people and work for Brandon in the 90s. And I love the whole space thing, mostly as a hobby, but I've been around it my whole life.
Yeah, they're all commenting on it, different things. Because, I missed it. I was at the grocery store. I missed a whole bunch of stuff. And then I rush home, unload my truck, and try to put everything away, at least the cold stuff, before I had to, get set up for this. But it's just nice to see different stuff like that, because when you see everything happen and you don't see anything bad happen ever, you get to where you expect it to always be good. But when you're practicing or testing things out, you're going to have something happen, like when people are practicing for the Olympics, people fall down, they try to make the flips and they fall down, and then they get up and they keep trying again. And, practice makes perfect, like our mothers would always tell us. So
there's
nice.
Something on every launch, Janet. And I can think of, so one of the boosters that was supposed to land on Megzilla, they had to ditch in the ocean, and this is in the last couple of months. And then there was a fire on one a couple of months ago. So they're never perfect. You're talking about 25,000 miles an hour and temperatures that are just insane, and it's just got a certain amount of misses in it. Sort of like golf, You got to play all 72 holes, and you might have a bad hole here and there, but you can have a good round. And I can't wait to see what Scott and the guys at SpaceX start saying was the issue on this one, because I'm real interested in all that.
Well, good. I hope that you find out and you can send me a message and say, hey, this is what happened, because all I saw was that video. And I was like, this is interesting. But then when I realized it was Elon Musk and stuff, then I said, oh, it must have been one of their ships.
Yeah, I think someone
blew up.
Yeah, I think someone filmed that in the Bahamas, and then they tagged him to it and sent it. And he was kind of laughing because, I guess in an ironic way, because like, what do you mean I'm launching a spaceship and people don't know? He was kind of shocked that no one knew what that was.
Well, you might have a lot of people that know, but you're going to have a lot of people that don't. I mean, that's just not something that they constantly are thinking about or looking into or whatever,
Yeah, I can't wait to see 8 go up, because I was at the first one and the second one, and, they have things go on for sure. We're trying to get it ready so we can start mining the moon and some of this other stuff that's really what
I saw too some penetrating radar or whatever they've been using on Mars, and saying that there's a wealth of liquid, frozen liquid under the surface. So,
Yeah.
And I think they think it's H2O. I'm not 100%, but whatever it is, they're going to want us to get samples of it. But this next thing we want to share
I
is
want to just say something about Mars real quick since you brought it up.
Okay, go ahead.
That same machine has said that most of the atmosphere is sulfur, so it would kind of smell like a rotten egg, you know, and nothing will grow in sulfur, not pure sulfur. It has to have the right mixtures of everything in it. You don't want a lot of sulfur, so that sulfur is going to be an issue, not just for growing plants and whatnot, but it has to stink up there. Just a little trivial pursuit question or whatever.
Yeah, and this was something I thought was pretty shameful. And when this kind of stuff happens, I just wonder why so many people still vote for these people. And if it was me and I was a Democrat, I would be looking up who voted against this bill. It says the House just passed a bill to declare that illegal migrants who commit, and I hate that word, they're not migrants. They're not here farming. You know, only the ones that come here on a green card that farm and pick fruits and vegetables or fish or whatever it is they do have the right to be called a migrant. The ones who just walk over the border to get free shit, that is an illegal, period. I don't care whether I'm supposed to say that or not, but that's the truth. It says who commit sex crimes or domestic violence are inadmissible and deportable. I honestly, I fear that a lot of these people come over the border to rob a store, or maybe they don't want to kill anyone, but they want to commit a crime, because if they get arrested, at least in prison here is better than the life they're living on the street. You see what I mean?
Yep.
So they get 3 meals a day. They get to go to the dentist. They get all their health care taken care of. And, you know, I can see why a lot of them want. And plus, remember, Trump said they're emptying their prisons. They emptied their insane asylums and stuff, and just said, go north, basically, get out of here or don't come back, or we're going to put you back in prison. So they come here and commit crimes because they don't give a shit. And what's really sad is that we're feeding them and giving them a place to live while they're committing all these crimes against us, the people that are paying their way. That's why I don't believe in giving people free reign of whatever they want to do when they just walk over the border. So I think it's pathetic and disgusting. But the fact that 145 Democrats voted against this bill, I hope none of their families or anyone they love ever is attacked or killed or beaten or robbed or any of that stuff. I hope that doesn't happen to them, but because it could. And it's sad that they voted against something that would save Americans. You know, it's just disgusting. And I'm shocked and I'm saddened that we've been on this, we've had a laws and rules and over 200 years to improve them and to learn from our past mistakes. Yet 145 of these people have not learned nothing.
Yeah, a heads up on that 145. If you'll go follow Nancy Mace on X, she's already got the list posted. And I'm pretty sure Marjorie Taylor Greene and Marsha Blackburn both shared it to their page as well. So if you're following any of them, you can go look. Those are 3 of the female congressmen and senators I talk to, like, you know, pretty much every week, at least 2 or 3 times. And they've just been up in arms over this. I don't know if you saw the clip of that idiot Adam Schiff and what he had to say about this, but he literally was trying to tell Congress that if they did this, it would put more people at risk. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with that dude, but oh my God, they're going off on him on social media so bad right now.
Well, the thing is, they look at it differently than us because they live a sheltered life. They live behind the fence. But look at Nancy Pelosi. She's got a huge fence all the way around her property, and she has security. Okay, and she has people that guard her all day, every day while she's at work. Okay, we don't have that. You and I have, when we get in our car or we go out in our yard or we do anything, we got to fend for ourselves. If someone jumps over the fence and wants to beat us up or whatever, we got to defend ourselves. She doesn't have that problem.
Do you remember me telling you about the fires that got started in Hawaii and that some people had fire trucks at their house? You know, the FBI's been at Ben Affleck's house because he had fire trucks at his house before the fire came.
Yeah, and I heard that.
They caught the migrants who started the fires, and
they said they had drones too.
Yeah,
Ben Affleck had a drone.
Yeah, a city councilman slipped up and was doing an interview, and he was explaining that these areas were old and tattered, and that they had an Olympics coming, and how much better it would be when they got all the new structures built. And he slipped up and said at the end, and that's why we set the fires we set. This is an elected official did that. Mm-hmm. Now, all that hasn't hit the main airwaves yet, but it's coming. Because I saw the tape of the guy saying it, and they're trying to scrape it off the internet. And then I saw the Ben Affleck thing. And me and some of the people that I'm around the government with, I mean, we're really beating this down about who these people are, making jokes. Are you on the Epstein list or the Diddy list? Because why would anybody vote for that, for raping children? You got to have something really wrong with you. And we already know that some of them are involved in all of that.
Well, we already know by their actions, because actions speak louder than words. I say that a lot, is the fact that they care more about illegals than they do about us. I mean, look how they treated all the people after the mudslides and stuff.
Yeah.
Some of them are still living in tents. Okay. People have died.
I told you Shaquille O'Neal's mom. I told you before, Shaquille O'Neal's mom was my charge nurse in the Army, right? Mm-hmm. He went with 18 cyber trucks. I think he had 7, then he got 10 more, put Starlink on all of them, and had them there, I mean, immediately while all that was going on. And well, I mean, I sent a message to 2 people real important in North Carolina and to Shaq and said, man, we could really use more help. He went to school at North Carolina. I was around him through his mother and when he was at that age. He's so generous and everything. But if you look at the difference between that way they went straight to California with all that money and all that help, they didn't get help for weeks up in North Carolina. And we, here in Augusta, I went over where I live here. There's no cleanup done. Now in where the farm is in Houston that we broadcast from sometimes, all that's cleaned up from that hurricane. And it was only 2 weeks before the one that hit Georgia, North Carolina, and Tennessee. So, I don't know how they justify all of that stuff, but they don't treat everybody the same. There's no doubt.
I 100% agree with you. Well, this next thing I wanted to share, I thought was pretty interesting before we get to the other stuff about the hearings and stuff. I wanted to share this because this came across my timeline. I thought it was pretty interesting because, if you've watched any of my shows, that I've played quite a few videos from Kid Rock, because I think that his stuff is very patriotic and basically factual. Some of his songs, like We the People, that says, F you, Brandon, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that. But it's funny, and he really, really likes Trump. So when I saw this, I wanted to share it with everyone because it's a video he made himself, and he talks about Pam Bondi and some of the things that he feels is coming up in this administration, and how he has some ideas of how going to concerts and paying for people like him, going to a concert and stuff, the money you spend, that he can put some information out there and try to make some changes for the better when it comes to the money that you have to spend for some of these venues, and for price gouging when people are able to go in and buy thousands of tickets and then up the prices. So if you really wanted to see him, if you weren't able to get right on and buy a ticket right away, your chances of getting a decent price ticket for the price that he thinks they should be sold for, you're shit out of luck, basically. So I wanted to play this. It says, surprise, I decided to let the cat out of the bag early. Sign up for the ticket pre-sale starting tomorrow on my birthday, which is tomorrow, January 17th at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So I wanted to play this live, or this actual video that he made himself, to talk about what his plans are starting this year with his concerts, and how he's going to try to get the things changed when it comes to tickets and stuff, at least to him. But if he can get some changes made, it affect a lot of the different bands and things like that. So here we go.
Well. Happy birthday to me. First off, let me apologize for this. Probably what's going to be long ass post. But the announcement is that I'm going to play 7 arena shows in the Midwest this March and April. And all the info is at kidrocktouring.com. Mm-hmm. And that site goes live on my birthday this Friday, January 17th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Is that such a big announcement? Some could argue it's not. But after so many years of taking shit and being shit on by the powers that be, the left-wing media, I think a celebration with the fans isn't only in order, it's overdue. I still believe that now is not the time to gloat. It's definitely time to try and unite this country. But it's also definitely time to celebrate with some other like-minded, common sense, hardworking patriots who unapologetically love this country. Mm-hmm. I mean, come one, come all. I don't care what your politics are, but if you still believe that men should be in women's sports or women's bathrooms are good things, if you believe cancel culture and still believe in political correctness, or if you still believe in all this woke DEI bullshit, you should probably sit these shows out. You're probably not going to have too good of a time. So what we're trying to do here, too, is get the tickets into the hands of the fans and keep the scalpers and the bots out. The bots, keep the bots out. So we're doing a special pre-sale sign-up at kidrocktouring.com. And you have to be signed up before Monday, January 20th by 5 p.m. And that's how you get your pre-sale password. And the pre-sale will start on January 22nd, 10 a.m. local time. And if you don't purchase tickets within the pre-sale, there may not be any tickets left to sell on the public on sale, which would be January 24th at 10 a.m. local time. And this is a way we can try to get tickets into the hands of the fans and try to circumvent the bots and secondary sellers from grabbing the best seats and charging insane resale prices. Mm-hmm. I also came up with a little idea to have select really good seats for a really high price, for like $600 a ticket. There's people who've worked hard that are rich, well-to-do, and they don't care what the prices are. They just want to be able to buy a good seat at whatever time they want. So they can. And this is another way to combat the bad actors. But the kicker is What I said I wanted to employ is that if these tickets, these high dollar tickets don't sell, by the time doors open at that gig, then we're going to give those tickets away for free inside the venue. We're going to upgrade people's seats who, for whatever reason, maybe they're there earlier, they just have a nice smile, maybe they wore something crazy, maybe they have an old Kid Rock concert shirt on, whatever the case may be. So it's not a money play to make more money. You know, I hope in the future to be able to get the tickets to fans at the prices I set. And that's really what I want to talk about in 1 second. But one more thing on this pre-sale, just when the pre-sale starts, please be patient. I mean, we're trying to do something different, to do the right thing. And Lord knows I'm pointing my finger at the people I'm working with saying, you know, how long is it going to take people in this pre-sale thing to get tickets? And they're assuring me that the majority, it's only going to take 10, 15 minutes or so. You know, it could be up to 30. I don't know, but it's the best system we have right now with our hands being tied with this bullshit experience of buying concert tickets and getting ripped off, to try and combat some of it and get the tickets to you at the prices we set, which is, we got to use that bullshit dynamic pricing too, which I'm not a big fan of, but it's another way to try to combat these bad actors. And before we get to my ticketing thing, is if you are one of these people who uses bots and employs, you know, to try to get tickets and just resell them on the secondary market to make a quick buck off working folks' backs, fuck you. I've made some new friends in this new administration, it's administration coming in at the highest levels. And I'm going to employ the Department of Justice, and I'm going to bug the shit out of my friend Pam Bondi to enforce the Bots Act and go after you motherfuckers with everything she has. So we'll see. Now, the future of ticketing. I've been doing a lot of research, got a lot of good people on the team here that want to have a seat at the table to try to figure this out. And first and foremost, I am a capitalist. I am a deregulation, get big government out of the way person. But I don't see any other way right now. Maybe in the future, big tech can step up and, you know, somehow tie tickets to proof of humanity or the blockchain or something. But for the meantime, the best thing that me and some like-minded folks have come up with it's first, we need to pass some serious regulations. We need to have all-in pricing to start. That means when you see a ticket advertised, when you go to check out to buy that ticket, that's the price you pay. Not all this horse shit and surcharges and bullshit that's tacked on. Everyone knows you go to buy a ticket for like $100 and all of a sudden it's $160, $170 at checkout. That's bullshit. I mean, if you want to have an option to buy parking or a food package or something, that's reasonable. Now, the big one is that we need to limit the all-in pricing of reselling a ticket to 15%, period. And hopefully that allows us artists to get tickets in the hands of the fans at the prices we set. And if that means I have to take a pay cut, fine. I'm glad to do it. There's shit tons of money in this business, even though it costs a lot to put on these shows. There's plenty of money to be made for everyone. And the most fucked up thing is that, say I book a show with Live Nation, Ticketmaster does the tickets, and I go to them and I say, hey man, I would like to buy 5,000 of my own tickets. The reason why you people make money is when we show up. I want to buy 5,000 tickets. I'll pay you what you want. I'll pay the promoters what they want, the building. I'll work out the percentage with them. And I want to buy those 5,000 tickets and I want to resell them. Fuck no, they won't let you do that. Because with most of these companies, if you buy a ticket from them and you attend that show, you're their worst customer. They want to resell those tickets on their secondary markets. So they really don't give a shit about the bots and the bad actors. Because every time that ticket resells, they make more fucking money. Billions, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars. It's fucking insane. So hopefully we can get some regulations passed with this incoming administration and expose who's been the bad actors in this. You politicians with the lobbyists in your pockets, we're going to pull your pants down. show people who you are. And we're open for all ideas. So if you got one, bring it. So that's it. Looking forward to these 7 arenas. I love playing arenas. Take Mother Nature out of the mix. But I'm also looking forward to our 10 Rock the Country music festivals, which were a riot last year. So much fun, so many great people. And like I said, the people made those festivals, and they're going to make them again this year. Also excited about the second Kid Rock's Rockin' Rodeo in Dallas at AT&T Stadium to tie in with the PBR World Finals. Also going back to play Rock the South in Coleman, Alabama. And of course, our charity event, my American Badass Comedy Jam at the Ryman here in Nashville. Also got a shit ton of new music. Probably have 25 tunes right now that I really dig, and going to figure out a way to get those out over the next year. And a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm even thinking I'm probably going to do a gospel record next year with a very well-known producer, an old friend of mine. So there's a lot going on, but we're really doing these 7 shows to not only try to get these tickets and to people's hands that want to come see the show, but to also celebrate. So look forward to seeing you out there. God bless. KidRockTouring.com. Hope to see you soon on the road. God bless.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. And the fact that he's been, you could tell he seemed nervous talking about it, but you could tell he's really been thinking about what he could do just as an artist to make it more affordable and less of the bullshit money that's tacked on for the customers, the ones who actually make him what he is, or any other singer. They're famous because people like us buy tickets or buy their tapes or, DVDs or whatever it is that they have at their concerts and things like that. So I would like to see some type of legislation, because I don't know how many friends that I know of that said that, they paid $500 for a ticket at the last minute because it was a scalp ticket. So, I just think that's terrible that someone who really likes, like my mother loved, Bill Cosby, and she liked, what was his name? Rodney Carrington, things like that. And as her daughter, I would have done whatever I could have, to get her a ticket to take her. I took her to Vegas to see Tom Jones. I bought tickets for her to go, and she died before I got to take her. So I took one of my sisters. But you will do almost anything you can to take someone you love to see one of their favorite artists. And if you can get the price, get it for a price that the artist wants to sell it for, instead of what the venues think they deserve on top of it, I think it would be great. And I hope that they can make some changes and get that straightened out. I hope it works. But we'll see. But I just thought that would be really good to share. I got someone to play it earlier this morning in a space, and a lot of people were like shocked, that they think it's great. And the fact that hopefully we'll have actual people in government that would actually think about this and try to get this fixed, where people can't rip people off. I wish there was a way that we could get a hold of all these people that call your house and tell you, they're going to shut your bank account down or whatever if you don't give them the information they need to prove it to you, this kind of stuff. All these scammers. I would love to see us have a huge crackdown on all these people that scam people, if there was a way to do it.
Yeah, let me speak to the Kid Rock thing. The years I was in Nashville taking care of my parents as they were aging, I was there from 2013 till 2021 when my dad died, and Kid Rock was having some stuff at his farm and all, and you know, somebody died on a 4-wheeler up there and some things like that. And I was able to watch that young man transition his life to what he is today. And he's very humble. And I don't think people are aware how much he does to help common men. You know, he went from just being sort of all into himself to becoming an advocate for everything. He's into golf now. He does a golf tournament. He bought a bar downtown, goes down there all the time to just talk to regular people. And of course, that's a tourist mecca. And so he goes down and meets people from all over the world. Now, the issue that he's talking about is actually, there's a case going on right now about that, but Taylor Swift brought it. But she's trying to do the same thing. But to go further into that, you know, being around it in the music industry, you know, the way that I have, albeit it wasn't my job over the years, I was always around it. And so MGI, which is Management Group Insurance, they basically handle all the contract work, and they contract everything out so they can't lose money. And I mean, they were involved in questionable things around Michael Jackson's death and basically based that on sort of the same thing. They weren't going to be able to make the amount of money that they paid Michael Jackson to do that tour. He was too sick. He wasn't getting through his rehearsals good. Dave Marshall, a friend of mine, was a techie on that job and was going to travel with him. And he said it was really bad, especially the day that he died. So, you know, you're talking about companies that are like part of BlackRock, and the music industry is mob. I've actually been in some spaces with other musician people like me that just around the industry and produce records, and they all say the same thing. It's mob, and if you gotta sort of play by the rules. Now, seeing him stand up like this up against it while they have this case up there in Washington is very good, because they have a bill in front of them right now where they can fix all this. And probably, you know, you got Ticketmaster and they're a monopoly in it, right? It sort of needs to be broken up. But once you sign that contract, you know, you can sign a contract. They say they want 5 records in 2 years, and you just go blank and can't write songs after the first year. Man, you're in trouble. It's a contract, you know? And so there's a lot of things in there, like Kid Rock was just talking about, that are lawyer jargon and this and that. You lose control of your own tickets. That's what he was trying to say. If I'm putting on the concert and I sign all this stuff, if I want to buy my own tickets, why can't I buy them? They have it in there like casino. They rig it to win. And that's going to be a difficult thing to overcome. It's almost like the cheating going on in the NFL ever since they started having betting on the NFL. And referees are just, it's like they're not even watching the game with some of the calls they make. And I truly believe that it's fixed and people are getting paid to do that. And that's what happens when you get megalopolies going like the NFL that nobody can touch, or CMA, Country Music Association, nobody can touch, right? And it becomes corrupted. What was it Lord Tennyson said? Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And he said it way back in the 1600s. So, you know, this is nothing new. I'm glad to see Kid Rock doing that. And I just wanted to say he's a wonderful man. You know, I got to live there in Nashville and watch that transformation. And he's become quite the civic figure, a good man. He loves people. He really does.
Well, it seems like he enjoys his making music and making people enjoy his concerts. Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing.
Oh, I'm glad to hear he's got new tunes coming out. I think that's great.
Yeah, and the fact that he wants to come out with a Christian album, I thought was pretty good too. So
yeah, I hope he's picking Edgell Groves, my friend that was. He wrote Footprints in the Sand. Edgell Groves did, but he's got Golden Edge Records up there in Gallatin, and he's done Christian albums for Michael Cash, who is Tommy Cash, Johnny Cash's brother. It's his son, Michael. And he did one for Tommy Cash not too long ago. And Tommy's kind of finished with his music career. His age is catching up with him, but Michael still does it, his son. And I'm hoping that that's the studio that he uses. It's just a great bunch of dudes. And I've been involved in songs over there that became hits. They really produce really good records. So hoping that's the guy he picks. There's a lot of them there, you know.
I just hope that it all goes, something gets done and something gets changed, because all of us that voted for Trump want to see changes for the better for the people in the United States of America. And even something as little as a ticket, you know, to a concert makes a big difference in your pocketbook and for your enjoyment, you know, for entertainment purposes. And I think that's a good thing. Well, now we're going to start talking about a little bit about what happened. Now, the last 2 days, I've been airing live streams on X, and I did one today or two today on LinkedIn, along with the X, and I didn't do it on YouTube because you know, there's such a stickler depending on who you use and how long you use it for. And I wanted people to be able to listen to the whole thing, even the shit that we didn't want to listen to. But I wanted people to have the option to be able to listen to it. And you have to keep stopping and talking, blah, blah, blah. And it was just me. And I thought, well, I'm just going to play it so people can tune in, which, you know, it seemed like quite a few people did. So that was good. But this, I just want to play this for everybody. It says, Senate Majority Leader John Thune says that Pete Hegseth will be confirmed as Secretary of Defense. And I think he deserves it. I mean, he went through some bunch of shit. But I wanted to share this with everybody so you guys can listen to it. Here we go.
Hearing from senators now that the Hegseth hearing is done.
The expectation that he will get confirmed. In fact, I just asked Senator John Thune, who's the Republican leader, the majority leader, decides the schedule of the United States Senate. I asked him about Hegseth's nomination. Thune has not said a ton about this nomination. I said, does he have any concerns about these allegations of sexual assault that Hegseth has denied but came up in today's hearing, about these allegations of misconduct and the like? And he indicated he does not. According to Thune, he said that Hegseth acquitted himself extremely well. And he plans to move very quickly on this nomination, and is moving quickly. We expect the Senate Armed Services Committee to have a vote as soon as Monday, Inauguration Day. That is according to the chairman of the committee, Roger Wicker, who told me that he believes that he'll get the support of all Republicans and be able to push this through.
Hearing from senators now that the Hegseth...
That's good. That's really good news. Because I watched him and I thought he was very impressive. And what's funny is how it doesn't matter how many times he says all that stuff was proven false. You know, they're from unnamed sources, you know, because it's just like all the people that were asking some of these dumb questions or just sit around and read the National Enquirer or something. It's really sad. That they can just ask all these questions and drag it on and on and on, simply because why not? Try to slam him against the wall as many times as possible and throw mud at him and punch him in the eye, poke his eyes out, whatever, you know, whatever it is that they can do. It doesn't matter whether it's factual or not. See, that's something I would love to see, that if they don't have evidence that it is a fact, they shouldn't be able to use it in court. They shouldn't be able to use it in any of these types of confirmation hearings or anything. So,
well,
you know,
I can.
Innuendos is not facts.
All right, so you know about Nancy Pelosi's speech on smear campaigns that she gave in the fall of 2015.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "What we do is we tell the media a story that's not true. And then we use them as the basis for using those untrue facts in congressional hearings." So the smear campaign really started with Clarence Thomas. That was the first time they really. Now, they smeared George Herbert Walker Bush the year of the 94 election, but we all know people weren't happy with the way that he ended the Saudi, the Kuwait situation. So that harmed him. But George Stephanopoulos and James Carver were the two people who ran the Clinton War Room for that 92 election. And they basically invented the smear campaign then. Now, it got a lot of negative press. They literally made a movie called The War Room where they revealed, and they were using footage from the actual war room that they used for that election. And there was a lot of really unethical stuff in it. So it got a bad name, but then they turned around and did it to Clarence Thomas, with Anita Hill coming in. So you get these political operatives, basically. They go out and they tell these bad stories. Now, look at what they did to Trump with it in 2016. It's obscene. He wins the election anyway because the truth about Hillary came out, and the truth always wins. But then the 2020 election was a total sham. It was a total sham. We had more people vote in that election than there even are that are eligible to vote in the country. So this smear campaign and the way this works, I would imagine we're going to see a lot of that. I won't even be a little bit surprised if we see some of that summer of love stuff going on. Until George Soros is either completely broke or extradited out of this country, we will continue to see him meddle in our affairs. And which I don't understand, because he was a uniform Nazi soldier in World War II who took teeth and valuables from dead Jews in internment camps. And he was born a Jew. He denounces Judaism, says he's an atheist. And somehow, some way, they let that man operate in this country. But the smear campaigns, I saw him do it to Pam Bondi today, right? Took false information. I've never seen anybody deal with Congress the way she did today. She basically told them to shut up and said, basically, are you really going to ask me that question after what y'all just did for the last 4 years? You should have asked that of the people that you were interviewing when Trump wasn't the president-elect. I mean, watching them flip their script right now, they're all so afraid. It's unbelievable. But the problem is we have these people on crimes against the people and the Constitution, which they're going to have to deal with. They're going to have to face this stuff.
Well, I thought this was funny. It came across my timeline. It says he's an American hero for enduring this, and I just thought I'd play this cute little video.
Yes, our veterans organizations will help our veterans get every damn thing that they deserve because they signed on the dotted line to keep us safe.
Oh my God. I was ready to just jump out of a window. I had to get up and leave.
Did you listen to Hirona? Did you listen to Hirona?
Yeah, I listened to all of them, and it was horrible,
man. You have to wonder what's up with these people. Either surely they got to realize we're all on to them at this point, right? And they'll still get up there and say, like I said earlier, shit.
They're oblivious. They live in their little realm, their little fishbowl or whatever. And none of us get in there. And, so they see it. They see it the way that they act. That's how they see us. We are the enemy, all of us. We're deplorables, and we're good for nothing, and we should all be destroyed. Basically. Oh my God. I don't know how he did it. I was very proud of him, but I found another one I thought was kind of funny to share with everyone. So hold on. Let me, I gotta play it for you. So here we go. Should I make it bigger?
Yeah, I mean, I'm having to put my glasses on. That's why I keep.
Okay, here we go. I thought everybody get a kick out of it.
You can't handle the truth. Son, we live in a world that has walls, and those walls have to be guarded by men with guns. Who's going to do it? You?
I thought it was funny. But yeah, I got a kick out of that one because he deserves it. I mean, he went through buttloads of crap. I remember way back when Clarence Thomas went through this. And it's funny because we don't do it. At least I've never seen a Republican treat another person like that up on the stand, you know, and just slander them and slap them around or whatever, waterboarding them. You know, it's just some of the dumbest questions they ask, knowing they already know the answer. And they're trying to goat them into saying that, oh, I won't do that. I won't do this. I won't let him talk me into being a criminal, because that's all he wants. Just like this whole thing with the insurrection bullshit. Not one person, not one has been convicted of insurrection, yet they constantly call it an insurrection. There wasn't an insurrection. It wasn't an insurrection. I've seen more crimes broken in different capitals and our Washington, D.C. capital by other groups of people coming in, you know, with spreading paint, tearing up stuff, knocking things over, all that stuff, compared to a bunch of people, thousands of people being led in by the cops and the cops leading them around, waving, taking selfies. You know, it's pathetic. And if we'd been able to see all the footage from day one, it wouldn't have even came out to what it is now. But we still have people sitting in jail after all these years for misdemeanors. That is they should all be able to sue the government because they have had their constitutional rights stomped all over and dragged through the dirt.
Yeah,
and that's ridiculous.
General Flynn and the Epoch Times. I think she's actually on her own now, but still contracts with Epoch and Vandersteel.
Mm-hmm.
They're up. They're just about ready to pardon all of them. I mean, they really.
Yeah, but see, the sad thing is, as soon as Trump gets in office, and I don't think he's going to do a blanket pardon. I really don't. I think he's going to pardon all the ones that have already been cleared by his people or whatever, and certain ones that instigated problems, which I don't even think were real Trump supporters that were there. They were put there on purpose. Those people, I don't think they should get pardons.
Yeah,
you know,
I saw a letter from.
See.
I saw a post from General Flynn on X. I think it was either yesterday or early today that they just acquitted one of the guys who got the worst charges in that whole thing. And General Flynn's comment was, we have you and all the rest of the J6ers and anyone else who was persecuted and prosecuted that lost money at the hands of this, you know, censorship and all that they're going to get money to those people. So that really is moving along really, really well. It really is.
Well, that's good. And this next one I thought was pretty good with Pam Bondi, because she did kick ass too. I mean, I was very proud of her. And it was funny is so many people were shocked. They were saying stuff about, wow, she's 59 years old. And she looks great, you know, compared to other women her age. You know, she looked really good. But she did a very professional job, and I was very proud of how she handled all these people, all these sharks or whatever you want to call them. But
they came after her, and she came right back at them. I mean, I saw her cuss a couple of them out, basically saying, "You got to be crazy even asking me that." I mean, they really, and they're crazy. They're crazy for what they asked her. They're crazy.
This one was posted by Juanita Broderick, which I thought was great. So I'm going to play hers real quick. Here we go.
I have to say also, really troubled, deeply disturbed by some of your responses and non-responses to the question that you've been asked today. You have to be able to say that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. You dodged that question when you were asked directly by Senator Durbin. You have to be able to say that January 6th insurrectionists who committed violence shouldn't be pardoned.
You said that I have to sit up here and say these things. No, I don't. I sit up here and speak the truth. I'm not going to sit up here and say anything that I need to say to get confirmed by this body. I don't have to say anything. I will answer the questions to the best of my ability.
See, she stood up to him, and I was proud of her for that because she's a good woman.
She jumped down Adam Schiff's throat, which all of us love. You know, nobody likes Adam Schiff, right?
Well, the thing is, I played both of these hearings for the last couple of days for both of these people, and I'm wanting to do. I think it's what's her name tomorrow, the one with the white streak in her hair.
Yeah.
Tulsi Gabbard. I'm going to make sure I play hers. And
hey,
I've been
go back to YouTube and use Forbes or one of them and get some from Tom Cotton and the Director of National Intelligence, Radcliffe.
Yeah, I saw that
was,
too. But
oh my God.
I haven't found that one. But this other one I thought was pretty good. Let's see if this one's it right here. Let me probably get you this one. This one was pretty good. It says Donald Trump's pick for Attorney General Pam Bondi has stated that anyone connected to Jeffrey Epstein has no legal grounds to prevent their names from being revealed in public records. That I loved. I love this. So let me play this real quick.
I want to know why AG Garland and the Justice Department are so quiet on this tonight. You know, they're out there labeling parents domestic terrorists, yet they're saying nothing about this. And these documents were so slow to come out. Human trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar business in this country, and Jeffrey Epstein is dead, and Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for 20 years where she belongs. And if people in that report are still fighting to keep their names private, Sean, they have no legal basis to do so unless they're a child, a victim, or a cooperating defendant by some chance against some potential case against Ghislaine Maxwell. And I think Mark Garagos, as a great criminal defense attorney, will back that up as well.
You know, Mark,
I want to know why AG Garland.
See, every single thing she said was factual. There's no reason why any of these names are still under wraps. They should already be released. And I can't wait to see them. And I think back of the two girls that I saw interviewed that said that were victims on that island that said they were voting for Trump because he told them that he is going to make sure the list will be released. And what I don't understand in the braveness of all these young girls, that's, you know, some of them are grown now, but the victims have kept quiet all this time and haven't been doing, you know, all these shows. You know how you got all these liberals running around doing all these shows, talking and bashing people and stuff to get their 15 minutes of fame. Where's all these girls? You know, why haven't they come out and bashed people? Because you know why? Because they're afraid. They want to live. They don't want to be killed. So if the government releases it, it isn't any of these victims that has to be forced to be the one to release the information out. And we know a lot of these people on this list. And what's funny is all these years I've been hearing, well, Trump flew on that plane.
No, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Let me finish this real quick. Because I said, honestly, do you honestly believe that if these people, you know, all these Democrats and all the Trump haters had information to prove that he was there raping kids on this island, that it wouldn't already be plastered on every billboard in this country? It would, because that's how they do things.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Throw a few of their friends under the bus to get Trump. But they couldn't. So that's why they tried to kill him. So
that was all the way deep investigated, okay? And there's no such thing as getting on a plane without a manifest unless you're a medical officer. They don't put medics on there. I don't know why, but they just don't. But here's what happened. Trump never was on Epstein's plane. Epstein got on Trump's plane that was leaving Palm Beach where Epstein was, and Epstein wanted to go up to New York. And so Trump said, yeah, you can fly with me. But Trump don't know him from Adam's aunt. And I mean, all that's recorded. So the only time ever the two of them had anything to do with each other, it was because Epstein just asked for a favor to fly from Palm Beach to New York. That's the absolute FBI answer to that question. I know for sure.
Yeah, I believe you. It just, to me, it's just, they are desperate. They are so desperate. And they were shocked. And when that whole incident happened in Butler, I was playing live, playing a game, a DD game live when it happened. And I was freaking out because all I heard was that Trump was shot in the head. And I got a text and I was like, what the, I started crying. I was really upset because I knew that they were going to try to kill him. But the fact that he turned his head at the last second, it was a miracle of intervention of some sort. And that's why he's still alive. And they were shocked as shit. But then when I started looking into what channels had showed up in tiny little Butler, right? This little tiny nothing town, when he'd had huge venues filled with people in huge cities, where you'd see CNN and MSNBC and all these channels, right? Well, why was all these channels all of a sudden in Butler to do a live stream, which most of them wouldn't even do live anymore? They hated Trump so much that none of them even wanted to do it live. They'd have a reporter there report a small snippet talking about whatever, and that's it. But for some reason, there was a bunch of them live, zoomed in, ready to get that shot when he got hit in the head by a shooter, like they knew in advance. And the fact that the one was taking pictures with that high resolution camera, and you could see the bullet going through the air and moving the air around it, was very suspicious to me, that how they all knew about it. And, I would love to find out. I would love for a person to have the balls to say, yeah, I was told that to be there because I was going to get something really good and exclusive or whatever. And I didn't, because he lived. It wasn't
that investigation, Janet, that investigation is going along really well.
Well, good. I hope so.
It's going really well.
I want to see people pay for some of this crap. I really do. Even if it wasn't Trump, even if it was somebody else. But if we believe that this was a setup and that they were so lax in making sure a building, and people were yelling, because I showed tons of video of people from their cell phones saying, hey, there's a guy on the roof with a gun. And they're yelling and yelling the whole time. And Trump's just talking away. And it shows the minutes going tick, tick, tick going by. How long it took anybody to do anything?
Okay, so the communication from that day was that there was a dangerous person on the grounds. And at 10 minutes till 6, they literally have radio communications between the people that were with Trump back there in the tent. Mm-hmm. He drove up to the back, went in the waiting tent, and they're waiting, and they're trying to clear the area. And there was a decision to make for him to go ahead and go out, even though that Secret Service had been warned there was a suspicious character. Yeah. So, there was that on purpose. Well, I can tell you this. When you have news media calling somebody Hitler, and you're saying the only thing you can do is get rid of, everybody wants to be a hero. Even sick people want to be a hero, right? Mm-hmm. And you're feeding mental illness. The same thing happened with the Justice Kavanaugh. When they went to his house, Senator Schumer did that. Senator Schumer called for the assassination of a Supreme Court justice, and that man is still in the Senate. I'm telling you, in the 1800s, they'd have hung him the next day, right there in front of Congress for that. So accountability is coming back to this country. And those kind of things that incite that violence, they're out the window. We have freedom of speech, except, and there's a clause, You can't scream fire in a crowded fireplace, which is gaslighting, which is trying to scare people when nothing's there to be scared about. That's literally in the amendment. So we can go right after that. If say you do that, man, we're going to charge you with a constitutional crime, which is the worst of the worst, because it's 10 to 20 years and a $250,000 fine. Nobody wants to go through that. Nobody does. But if we're going to get to the bottom of all of this, you go listen to Senator Cotton start. Director of National Security. Man, he trashed the entire Democrat Party, right? He wasn't even talking to John Ratcliffe. And then John Ratcliffe got his microphone. He wasn't talking to Senator Cotton. He was trashing what they did over the last 5 years. They took those two speeches. And the crazy thing was, the ranking member, who's the Democrat leader of that thing, he took his time. He did the same thing. He totally trashed Chris Wray. He trashed the CIA. He trashed all of them. That committee right there is not playing games. Okay, when the leader of the minority party is preaching the same thing that the chairman of the leading party is, and like I said, John Ratcliffe took the opportunity to say a lot of what he couldn't say about the 2016 to 2020 years, and a lot of what he wanted to say right now. Boy, that was really great. Really great.
See, I can honestly say that every single day, more information comes out to make me trust them less and less and less. And I'm not just saying I don't like the left. I don't like rhinos either. A person that says over and over again that they're conservative and they're this and they're that, but everything they do is the opposite of what they say they are, I don't trust you. You're a liar. You've been proven a liar over and over again. I'm not going to believe a damn thing you say. That's right. When a person like that goes against somebody that I like or that I think I might like, even though they're a lefty, okay, this person is a Democrat and they're bashing him because of things he wants to do for our country, guess what? It makes me trust them even less and makes me trust that other person even more, because if they're throwing them under the bus, why? What is it he's saying or she's saying that is they're trying to make it look like you can't trust them? So it makes me look at them even harder to find out why they're trashing this person, because that person must have some damn good shit that they don't want to. You know what I mean? Because this next one that I want to share is exactly that. And I really think we need this person on Trump's team, even though he's from the opposite team. I don't care. It's the fact that so many people in his own party can't stand him. There's got to be something good going on. But it says more than 15,000 medical officers signed a petition urging the Senate to reject RFK Jr.'s nomination as HH secretary. Why is that, I wonder? I can't wait to find out. I can't wait to hear this one too. This is another one I'm interested in, but here we go.
I said to them at that time, you've said publicly that I've been dishonest about that. Can you show us a single pre-licensing safety trial, placebo-controlled safety trial for the 72 vaccines required for American children? And he made that show of looking through a file, and he said, well, back in Bethesda. And I said, well, you sent them to me. And I never heard from him again. So we sued the HHS under the Freedom of Information Law. After a year of litigation, they sent us a letter which is posted on CHD's website that acknowledges that they are now not able to locate a single pre-licensing safety trial, placebo-controlled for any of the vaccines that are now mandated for children. These are zero liability vaccines. I'm not anti-vaccine, but I think we need to be honest and we need to have good science. I spent 30 years trying to get mercury out of the fish in this country, and nobody ever called me anti-fish. I said to them at that time, you've said.
Did you hear what he said? He spent 30 years trying to get mercury out of fish, and no one called me anti-fish. But he's right.
Yeah,
and
so
to me,
let me
factual.
give you a quick heads up on that report, though.
Mhm.
Mary Bowden, who's literally solely fighting the Texas Medical Board, and she's winning. And
Yeah.
they backed out, dropped a case against her this week. Okay. So she's of total ivermectin. She's trying to get ivermectin released and all of this. She's right smack in the middle of all the legal part of COVID. And she reported immediately this morning that said 17,500 doctors, right? It was 2,200 doctors and a bunch of people from big pharma and stuff like that that aren't even doctors. So they proved that was a scam already today. And I know I saw that post from Mary probably at 8:30 this morning or something like that. And she's always gets it right. So most of those people weren't doctors. I think it might even have said 17,500 people in the medical field, which was a trick, because it wasn't doctors. It was a very small fraction of them were doctors.
Well, the thing is, I have a doctor, and my doctor, my allergy doctor, okay, he's the one that told me, I don't think you should get the shot. And I said, okay, and he said, let me show you something. And he showed me the paper out of the little box that they send with the vials in it, and it was blank. He said, I can't inject all my patients with something when I don't even know what's in it because I'm an allergy doctor. I'm allergic to ibuprofen. Okay. Everyone's allergic to something different. So if they don't tell you what's in it and they just jab you up with it, you could die of anaphylactic shock, right there in the office. So, I feel like he gave me life, basically. He saved me from doing something that everyone in my family, well, not everyone, but half of my family was trying to force me into, telling me I need to do it. I was risking everyone's lives and all this bullshit. And I'm like, I'm not taking it.
Yeah, they harmed a lot of families.
Guess
with
what?
COVID.
And I haven't had COVID, not once. And when I did get sick, I didn't have a fever. I was just nauseated. That was it. And I found out later I had wiped up some bug spray with my hand without a glove on, and that's what made me nauseated. But the thing is that when I went to the doctor for it, and they said, "Well, we're gonna test you for COVID. You're not sticking that up my nose. You have to take my blood." And I watched the nurse take my blood, and it came back and he said, "You don't have it. You don't have COVID." And I said, "I told you I didn't have it." Because how do you have something that you don't even have symptoms for? It's just ridiculous. And after watching a couple of videos showing kids sitting on a dirt floor, like in India, taking those long sticks and sticking them in a plastic bag and then sealing it and handing it to the lady that's sitting there, and they're barefooted in shorts on a dirt floor. How is that scientific? How is that supposed to save people's lives when it's not even in a sterile environment, but they're shoving that up in people's brains, basically causing their nose to bleed? So that means it's breaking the membrane between the brain and the sinus cavity. All of it was ridiculous. And I saw them doing that to babies and children and elderly people. It was horrid. It was monstrous. And any nurse or doctor that would do that on purpose to somebody, not knowing anything about where that thing came from or what was on it, should not be nurses or doctors, at least not in my point of view. And the fact that they let people bring that shit in, and also the videos that I shared too, which I lost my channel a couple times for, showing whole laboratory with 14 dogs, 14 beagles. They all got jabbed and every one of them died. But you never heard about it on the news. Every single animal that was injected with the COVID vaccine at the beginning died. But yet they were still happy to jab up babies, kids, elderly, all kinds of people with it. It's just disgusting and repulsive, and it hurts me to think of how many people were forced because they had to have a livelihood to take this jab. But guess what? All the people that work for the post office were exempt. Everybody in Congress, I guarantee almost every person that got up on stage or said, take it, take it, take it, take it, take it, didn't. They didn't even take it themselves, but they wanted you to do it. And when you died or you have all these health problems now because of it, they should pay for you to be healed. It's disgusting.
The Bill and Linda Gates Foundation has just donated a tremendous amount of money to vax injured people because he was deceptive. This is what the letter they sent.
And they're still jabbing up cows. They're still jabbing up animals on farms.
Yeah, I mean, we're just going through this. It's starting to be quelled now, this crazy media campaign to try to get people on RS.
You know what I wish they'd do? You know what I wish they'd do? I wish every person that was involved, Fauci, all these people that were involved, all these pharmaceutical companies, every single person that was involved in duping anyone that got this jab, they should have to stand up in front of us and somebody that we know has got this vaccine and give it to every single one of them. Just like, remember that movie with, what was her actress's name that played Pretty Woman? What was that actress's name?
Sandra Bullock?
No. It's good looking. She was real tall and skinny.
Sandra Bullock, right?
No, Sandra Bullock was in Miss Congeniality.
Yeah.
If anybody can remember what her name was, she was in that movie with the guy that was Officer and a Gentleman guy. She played a prostitute, and it was called Pretty Woman, and she was a gorgeous actress, and I cannot remember her name right this minute. But in that movie, Erin Brockovich, what did she do to all those people that were polluting the water? She invited them all in, and they're all sitting around that table, and they're all drinking the water and stuff. And she said, well, I hope you guys are enjoying the water because it came from the water you poisoned. And they're all freaking out because they knew there was something in the water. So why can't we do that to these people? Why can't we make sure they all got the vaccine? Because I know they didn't.
I hope we don't give anybody else any more vaccines. There are certain people who are going to be dealt with legally on that, even though the Quantum Act protected them. The problem was they had the Quantum Act, and they wouldn't tell the truth.
People were forced to take that vaccine. They're dying.
Well, I mean, I know that. There's no
person
reason
that
to
forced them to take
else.
that jab, knowing what was in it, doesn't get the death penalty, but the innocent people that were forced into it do. See, that to me that isn't
Yeah,
law.
they're not going to put anybody to death, Janet. I can promise you. Every one of those hearings I sat through, when the Democrats got their chance to talk to Tony Fauci, they talked to him like he was God, thanking him for all the lives he saved and a career in medicine.
And how many of them actually took the jab?
They're not. You have to get a consensus of agreement, and then you're talking about killing a dude that basically probably got shammed. Okay, Bill Gates paid for.
What do you mean? I'm not saying kill him. I'm not saying kill him. I'm just saying
if you give him the vaccine, it will.
Well, I know, but they still praise him. They think he's God. Remember what you just said? Just give him what they gave everyone else, and make sure it's the real stuff. Make sure you take that they gave these other people.
They all got duped, just like we all got duped, and they did that to overthrow Western governments. They overturned the governments in 5 countries in that 5-year period. And then the people got so pissed off, it's like, what are you doing? And we got this team humanity thing going on. We've overturned the leadership in Germany. We've overturned the leadership in France. The Canadian prime minister has resigned. That isn't governments doing that. The people are enraged around the globe over what happened to us. Will they ever do anything to the people that did it? Well, they have the Quantum Act, which said this is an extraordinary circumstance. You can test and do these things. But then they, like you said, they didn't do any trials. They didn't check any of that. Well, we find out in the end, Bill Gates had the vaccines ready in 2019, almost 12 months before we heard the word COVID. Now, that spells it all out right there, that he paid all this money in 2016 and all this money in 2019, and those people were all fooled. They wanted to make money, is what they wanted to do. And they were going to use this vaccine, the virus, so they could make everybody stay at home, and Joe Biden could run from office from the basement, and nobody would be able to get out and look into any of this stuff, including voting.
And it worked.
It worked, right?
That's why they're all patting each other on the back. They're all
so
going
we
to the
can't
bank.
charge them. We cannot charge them for anything related to the vaccine, but we can charge them for the conspiracies and for lying under oath. And for the people who made the mistake of being involved in it and lying under oath about it, they're really in big trouble. Because the whole thing is that
we don't have to charge them with anything. You just say, you get Fauci up there and you say, did you think that any of this was bad, whatever? And then if they say no, say, okay, well, we're going to give you an injection from your batch that you made and see how they react. Because I guarantee the ones they got were nothing but saline or fake.
What I know about those vaccines is that's just, you might as well get a gun and shoot them. And I don't think that killing somebody is the answer for this. Those vaccines,
I don't know that. I didn't get it. All I know is that the people that I know got it have been had medical problems ever since. But I'm going to move on to this next thing. It says Pam Bondi completely destroys Adam Schiff, a man who disgraces any government door he darkens. This is a master class on dealing with a pompous, slimy show trail politician. Bravo, Pam Bondi. So I'm going to share this thing that was live that I played some of this today or yesterday. Yeah, yesterday.
Ms. Bondi, as you know, the Supreme Court in Trump versus United States held the president has absolute immunity to commit crimes in certain core areas of the president's responsibility. One of those core areas is the Justice Department. So in a breathtakingly dangerous and irresponsible decision, Justice Roberts and the majority held the president could commit crimes using the Department of Justice and be immune from prosecution. Justice Sotomayor correctly said this new immunity lies about like a loaded weapon. So the fear and the concern we have is that the incoming president will use that loaded weapon, that immunity, to commit crimes through the Department of Justice. And for that reason, it is all the more important that we have an attorney general who has the independence, the strength, the intestinal fortitude to say no to the president when it is necessary. So my first set of questions has to do whether you have the independence to say no when you must say no. And you can say this is hypothetical, but it is not hypothetical. So let me start with one very specific non-hypothetical. The president has said Jack Smith should go to jail. Will you investigate Jack Smith?
Senator, I haven't seen the file. I haven't seen the investigation. I haven't looked at anything. It would be irresponsible of me to make a commitment regarding anything without, you're a long practicing attorney, without looking at a file.
So you would need a factual predicate to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
Not a summary by you sitting here. Yes, sir.
And not a summary by the president either, right?
Absolutely.
So a summary by the president or his desire to investigate Jack Smith would not be enough for you to open an investigation of Jack Smith. Is that right?
I will look at the facts and evidence in any case. You know.
And sitting here today,
Senator, 72% of Americans
please, I only have
have
7
lost
minutes.
faith in the Department of Justice.
Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Sitting here today, yes or no?
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances.
You can't answer that question.
Brought to me.
You're not a part of the department yet. There's no worry about divulging law enforcement sensitive information. So just tell us, are you aware of a factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Yes or no?
Senator, what I'm hearing on the news
Are
is
you aware of
horrible.
a?
Do I know if
you,
he
you
committed
seem
a crime?
reluctant.
I have not.
You
looked
seem
at it.
reluctant to answer a simple question. Let me ask you a different simple question. The president also wants to jail Liz Cheney. Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Liz Cheney? Yes or no?
Senator, that's a hypothetical, and I'm not going to answer that
No,
question.
it's not hypothetical. I'm asking you, sitting here today, whether you are aware of a factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney.
Senator, no one
Based
has
on what
asked
you
me
know.
to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a
The
hypothetical.
president has called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate.
But the president
Liz.
has
We're
called-
also
the
worried about
president-
Liz Cheney,
the
Senator.
president has
You know
called
what we
for
should
this-
be worried about?
Ms. Bondi,
The
please
crime rate
answer
in
my
California
questions.
right now
You
is
are
through
aware,
the roof.
Ms. Bondi,
Your
my-
robberies
Ms.
are
Bondi,
87%
my
higher
question-
than the national
my question
average.
is this.
That's what I
My
want to
question
be
is
focused
this.
on, Senator.
Do you have the
if I'm
power to
confirmed
say
as
no to the
Attorney
president?
General.
And what you're suggesting today by your non-answer is you don't have the independence to say no to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It also requires you, if you're going to be a good attorney general, to be able to tell hard truths to the president. So my questions now are, can you tell hard truths to the president? So let me start with an easy truth that you could speak to the president. Can you tell us, can you tell him that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? Can you say that? Do you have the independence to say that? Do you have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020?
I want to pause this for a second. Okay, just think about this. They have constantly said that Joe Biden won fair and square, and that this is bullshit every time that Trump brings it up, right? So if it was bullshit, just like he believed, it wouldn't matter what she thinks or anyone else, because there's no proof at all to prove that Donald Trump was the election was taken from him because they cheated, right? So why do they constantly bring this up, saying, are you going to investigate it? Are you going to put people in jail because of it? Blah, blah, blah.
That is what he's doing. He wants to hear her say that because they all know. Here's the thing. Pam Bondi is a great prosecutor, and she is not even going to talk. Even if she did know, she wouldn't bring it up. What do we hear Alejandro Mayorkas and Christopher Wray and Attorney General Garland for the last 5 years have looked right at them when they knew there were crimes, had seen the evidence, and let them say, we don't know. I mean, I think Pam Bondi handled him perfect. She threw it right back in his face. She said, what we're worried about is your shitty state where the crime rate's gone up 87%. Why are you asking me about Donald Trump when the problem is in your state and people are getting killed, murdered, robbed, carjackings?
Because they don't care. They don't care about the regular everyday Joe that works her ass off and pays taxes so that he can go play golf and he can go on his vacation or buy his wife a nice dress or whatever, and give themselves raises when people are sleeping in tents that should have been helped by our government. Are still sleeping in tents and dying. Some of them are freezing to death in a tent simply because they don't give a shit. They could care less. All they care about right now is their own asses, because they have done nothing for our country besides rape it and take every penny they can and put it in their bank account. That's why they're chicken shits. But the only reason they bring all this shit up is because they are afraid that Trump does have something on him. And if he hands facts to her, yes, she should do whatever she has to make sure that these people are put behind bars. But if he has no evidence and he doesn't have anything to prove it, then no, there is nothing that she can do. Okay?
Yeah, well,
and
okay.
The fact that he keeps bringing this up, to me, tells me that he is afraid that he is going to get in trouble because.
Well, let's get to what Pam Bondi. Let's get to what I mean. Here's the thing. What's Cheney? Liz Cheney.
Mm-hmm.
Liz Cheney. Is factual evidence that she witness tampered and gave testimony for certain people in the January 6th case where it was fabricated stuff. And they have where she sent it to the people who came and testified to what wasn't true.
And if any of that's true, then these people that lied and tried to frame American citizens and take away their constitutional rights, they should be paid. They should go to trial and be paid for it, just like any other criminal.
Right.
I don't care who it is. I don't care who the criminal is. If there's evidence against them, then they should pay the penalties. I don't care who it is.
Yeah, well, I can tell you this. I heard John Ratcliffe in his testimony today say that they were going after the people who came up with the false claims about Trump because it was such a threat to the national security of this country. And that is where I draw my lines. Like Adam Schiff, he's a threat to our national security. There's no question, right? He's a dangerous player. Him and Jamie Raskin.
Remember when that one lady, I can't remember what her name is, but she came out and she said, if you see these Republicans, then and you see them in a restaurant, go and harass them. Maxine Waters. Go and harass them. Run them out of the restaurant. Don't let them sit there in peace and enjoy their meal. You know, stuff like that. That is assault, basically. You're harassing.
It's a violation of the First Amendment. It is a violation of the First Amendment.
Nothing happened to her. Hillary Clinton has an illegal server that China can get information off of in her bathroom, and nothing happens. So it's two sets of laws. Them and us.
Yeah, just have a little faith, Janet. Have a little faith. There's a new sheriff in town, and the way that we were looking at this,
any of that happens, I'm just gonna bitch and moan about it because I feel like these people are exactly why I don't trust the government, because they all right.
Well, let me jump in on that though. Here's what my thing is. We need to get out and get some more of these, like the people that Trump is picking for his cabinet that are younger, fresh people. If they're 80 years old, replace them, right? But the grassroots level is a different animal, a totally different animal. And the way it is in Washington, D.C. right now, who on earth even would want to live up there? It's Sin City. It's worse than Las Vegas. They got casinos, drugs, prostitution on the street. Yeah, all that. And our Congress allows this. It's the District of Columbia. And then these low-life, like, call themselves local politicians, came in there and turned it into, like, Sin City. Nobody wants to be there. And there's no ethics in Congress anymore. It's not so much they hate us, it's that they love money more than us. And they're willing to sell us out for money.
Every one of these people that you see sitting in this audience, I don't care who they are, independent, Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. They all took an oath to uphold the law and of the Constitution for us.
Yeah,
American
and that's what's coming back. Constitutional law is coming back.
Until I see people who've lied and stomped on our Constitution and our American flag, those people are held accountable. I'm not going to trust. I'm just not going to trust them.
Yeah, I get that. But we got to replace these people. And
I know.
It's grassroots.
People we all went to the polls in record numbers and made our little voices heard. And now, whether or not these people are going to be capable of seeing some things change, I don't know. I hope so, and I'm praying for it. But how deep are the roots of these people? So we'll have to wait and see. But let's watch the rest of this video.
2020 election. Can you tell us that here today?
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I won't do it. I won't play politics with any ongoing investigation.
So let me ask you another.
Like you did leaking your colleague Devin Nunes's memo.
If you can't answer the question, let me ask you a different, what should be a simple truth, not a hard one.
Oh, I love it.
Was there massive fraud affecting the result of the 2020 election? Yes or no?
Senator, I'm glad you asked that question. If you'll let me answer what I saw in Pennsylvania.
No, I asked a simple question about massive fraud.
I can only tell you what I saw in
No, I know you want to
Pennsylvania.
answer a different question, but my question is, can you tell us whether there was massive fraud affecting the results of the 2020 election? Yes or no? Was there
I
or
can
was there
tell
not?
you what I saw when I went
That's
as an
not my,
advocate
that's
to
not
the
my question.
campaign.
So you can't answer that question. You can't speak that even easy truth to us, let alone to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It will also be important that you give good advice to the president. Are you prepared to advise the president not to pardon people who beat police officers?
Senator, as I said, the pardons are at the direction of the president. We will look and we will advise. I will look at every case on a
Okay,
case.
so you
Let me
look at-
finish on a case by case
Okay,
basis.
okay, good.
And I abhor violence to police officers.
Follow up with that. So will it be your advice to the president, Mr. President? I know you said you want to issue hundreds of pardons on day one. Will it be your advice to the president? No, Mr. President, I need to go over them on a case-by-case basis. Do not issue blanket pardons. Will that be your advice to the president?
Senator, I have not looked at any of those files. If confirmed, I will look at the files
And
for
will
the
you be able to
pardons, as
do,
well
will
as
you
the
be able to
ongoing
review
investigation.
hundreds of cases on day one?
I will look at every file I am
Of course
asked
you
to
won't.
look
So
at.
will you advise the
Nick,
president?
can I
will
answer
you-
the question?
Well, my question
I would
is-
have plenty of staff. You said, of course you want.
You'll be able to review
Listen, I'm
hundreds
not
of
going to
cases on the first day?
mislead this body nor you.
All right, let me ask another question. You don't want to answer that. Let me ask
You were
another question.
censured by
It will
Congress,
also-
Senator, for
it will
comments just
also-
like this that
it
are
will
so reckless.
It will also be important for you to be able to preserve the records, the evidence of the department. Are you ready to commit that none of the evidence in the January 6th investigation will be destroyed under your watch?
Senator, I will follow the law. I will consult with ethical officials in the
Do you
department.
see any ethical basis to destroy evidence in the January 6th investigation? Then why can't you answer the question? Why can't you say, I
They
commit to this
destroyed
committee, we will never
They
destroy the
destroyed
evidence
the
in the
evidence.
January 6th investigation? Why can't you give this committee and the American people that assurance?
Are you frightened because evidence was destroyed against President Trump that was false? Is that why you're
Why do
frightened
you
now?
have
I can't
difficulty?
believe this is even.
Why do you have difficulty answering that question?
I can't believe
Why do you
you're
have
asking such a
difficulty?
question.
Why do you have difficulty promising to preserve evidence at the Department of Justice? Why is that a difficult question?
I will follow the law.
It shouldn't be a difficult question.
Jesus.
She trashed him, man. That was so sweet.
I know, but the thing is, she bit her tongue. She was not going to let him drag her down the street, and that's exactly what they want to do.
Imagine
They
this
want to
guy
drag
asking
everyone.
her that question.
Why
after
didn't he just
Biden
let her tell her what happened, what she actually saw in Pennsylvania? See, he wouldn't even let her do that because he knew that she has facts, and he doesn't want to see facts. He just wants her to agree to whatever it is, whatever rhetoric.
Go back to the
he's
pardon
doing.
argument. But Joe Biden pardoned 1,500. There were murderers.
They don't care about that. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, they want to ask her about Trump pardons, which is absurd.
It is absurd, but she didn't fall for it, and I'm very proud of her for that. Under that pressure, I'm so proud of her for that. But this next one is pretty good too. I wanted to share this one, so here we go. Oh wait, let me make it small again. Just 1 second, because it says I've had about enough of the liberal. Well, never mind. It doesn't matter. Let's just play it. I'm just going to get it over with. Here we go.
I'd like to submit for the record signatures by 32 members of the House of Representatives who are veterans. The signatures call on the Senate to honor the constitutional duty of advise and consent by conducting a fair, thorough confirmation process that evaluates his nomination solely on the substance and merits. His distinguished military service, academic credentials, and a bold vision for revitalizing the national defense. I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record.
Without objection.
There's a lot of talk going about talking about qualifications and then about us hiring him if we are the board. But there's a lot of senators here I wouldn't have on my board because there is no qualifications except your age, and you got to be living in the state and you're a citizen of the United States to be a senator. Other than the fact we got to convince a lot of people to vote for us. And then when we start talking about qualifications, for if you're qualified for it. Could the chairman tell me what the qualifications are for the Secretary of Defense? Mr. Chairman, could you tell me what the qualifications are for the Secretary of Defense?
I'd be happy
I'll read it
for you to do that. Yeah.
Let me read it for you because I Googled
I was getting some advice from my second in command.
Yeah, but I'm just making a point because there's a lot about qualifications, and I think it's so hypocritical of senators, especially on the other side of the aisle, be talking about his qualifications, not being able to lead the secretary or be the Secretary of Defense, and yet your qualifications aren't any better. You guys aren't any more qualified to be the senator than I'm qualified to be the senator, except we're lucky enough to be here. But let me read you what the qualifications of the Secretary of Defense is, because I Googled it and went through a lot of different sites, and really it's hard to see. But in general, the U.S. Secretary of Defense position is filled by a civilian. That's it. If you have served in the U.S. Army Forces and have been in the service for, you have to be retired for at least 7 years, and Congress can weigh that. And then there's questions that the senator from Massachusetts brought up about serving on a board inside the military industry, and yet your own secretary that you all voted for, Secretary Austin, we had to vote on a waiver because he stepped off the board of Raytheon. But I guess that's okay because that's a Democrat Secretary of Defense. But we so quickly forget about that. And then Senator Kaine, or I guess I better use the senator from Virginia, starts bringing up the fact that what if you showed up drunk to your job? How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night? Have any of you guys asked them to step down and resign from their job? And don't tell me you haven't seen it because I know you have. And then how many senators do you know have got a divorce before cheating on their wives? Did you ask them to step down? No. But it's for show. You guys make sure you make a big show and point out the hypocrisy because the man's made a mistake. And you want to sit there and say that he's not qualified? Give me a joke. I mean, it is so ridiculous that you guys hold yourself as this higher standard and you forget you got a big plank in your eye. We've all made mistakes. I've made mistakes. And Jennifer, thank you for loving him through that mistake. Because the only reason why I'm here and not in prison is because my wife loved me too. I have changed, but I'm not perfect. But I found somebody that thought I was perfect. And for whatever reason, you love Pete, and I don't know why. But just like our Lord and Savior forgave me, my wife's had to forgive me more than once too, and I'm sure you've had to forgive him too. And so thank you. So before I go down this rabbit hole again, tell me something about your wife that you love.
She's the smartest, most capable, loving, humble, honest person I've ever met. In addition to being incredibly beautiful. Don't forget about your kids. I'm supposed to talk about my kids?
No, well, she's also the mother.
Oh, an amazing mother.
Yes.
Of our blended family of 7
Brother,
kids.
I'm pulling you along.
Her.
I'm trying to help you here. You know, do you believe that you're going to be running the Secretary or the Department of Defense by yourself?
Senator, absolutely not. Just as President Trump is assembling his cabinet, I look forward and already am in the process of building one of the best possible teams you can imagine with decades and decades of experience outside of the Pentagon, driving innovation and excellence, and also inside the building, knowing how to make it happen. Yes, sir.
So, in your organizations that you did have the privilege of running, did you have a board that you...
In both organizations, we had a board, yes.
Okay, and what did you do with that board? What kind of decisions did you make with them?
Those boards provided oversight and insight into decision-making.
They all have special, unique sets that maybe filled gaps that you're not the expertise in?
Yes, sir.
So do you believe you're capable of surrounding yourself with capable individuals that you're going to be able to run those same ideas by and surround yourself with people that are smarter and better equipped in maybe areas that you don't you don't necessarily carry those expertise with?
Senator, the only reason I've had success in life, to include my wonderful wife, is because of people more capable around me and having the self-confidence to empower them and say, hey, run with the ball, run with the football, take it down the field. We'll do this together. I don't care who gets the credit. And in this case, that's how the Pentagon will be run.
Let's end with this, Mr. Chairman, about the qualifications. You got a man who has literally put his butt on the line. He served 20 years in the service, multiple deployments, has heard the bullets crack over the top of his head, has been willing to go into combat, been willing to see friends die for this country.
Mm-hmm.
And he's willing to still put himself through this. His wife is willing to still stand beside him, knowing he wasn't perfect, knowing that all this was going to be brought up. And he's still willing to serve the country. What other qualifications does he need? That I yield back.
Thank you, Senator.
Really, really good. I enjoyed that. It was nice to see someone else admit that they are imperfect, because nobody's perfect. There's only been one perfect person ever on the planet Earth. And we all know who that is if you're a Christian. That's it. No one else. The rest of us are all sinners. We've all made mistakes. We've all said things or done things that we know we shouldn't, but we did it anyways. And then we've had to ask for forgiveness. If we cared enough about our own salvation, we ask for forgiveness. And then there's others that don't care because they don't believe in anything. They don't believe in us. They don't believe in themselves. They don't believe in anything. They just do whatever they want at the whim of their needs or their urges, right? So I don't know. I'm really happy that I've taken the time to get to watch some of these. I haven't got to watch all of them. I've only seen snippets of a lot of the others that have been going on, because they're going on all day long, with different people to find out whether or not they're going to be confirmed. But the thing is, I'm proud that Trump has worked so hard with his team, to pick and choose these different people. And I've heard a lot of people say, well, I don't like his choices. I don't like this person. I don't like that person. And I just say one thing. I trust Trump.
Yeah,
Trump's
I believe
there.
Fox this afternoon said that 57% of people in one of the polls said that they approve of his picks. And then they went back to 2017, 16 and 17, and said that it was like 24% or something. So he's got over half of us, pretty much sold on his picks. I like it because most of them are young. They've got experience. All of them have been in the media so much. And so much of what we're going to have to really overcome, if that's the right word, is the horrendous division in media, and how they attack people and won't give you a chance to talk or whatever. This cabinet will be able to handle the media extremely well. Most of them come from media. And I think that he picked most of them for that reason, for their strength with public appearance, and because he's so good at it. I mean, people adore Trump. And I just had a conversation with somebody real important, and I was cutting up with him and said, look, make a housewives of, and then make a joke out of it. That's what Trump does. Every time they attack him, he turns it into being that he's just a jovial, nice, regular dude. Instead of fighting it and lashing back, make everybody laugh about it. Go, yeah, that's right. I'm a sinner. What is your sin? You want to talk about that? You sure want to talk about mine? I mean, I don't judge anybody. I'm a live and let live guy. I don't understand a lot of things I see, and I'm not going to do those things I don't understand. But, people have a right to be whoever they want to be. But when you're attacked for anything about yourself, if you can turn it around and literally laugh at your own flaws, then that takes their power away from them in those kind of attacks.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of these guys are going to be really good at that. Maybe Bergram, he's a little soft. He did okay in the debates, but he just doesn't have that fire. And I think Vivek is going to be great. He's really smart and has the numbers.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the different, few other people. I can't wait to see them go through any kind of confirmations. Now, Vivek, isn't he supposedly may become a senator in Ohio?
Yeah, I believe they're going to replace Jim Jordan with Vivek, is what I heard.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'm excited, but I was really impressed more because he's picking some younger people. Mm-hmm. Okay, even though Pam Bondi's 59, she doesn't look it, and she doesn't act like it. Okay, the thing is that she's filled with fire, but she seems very patriotic. Okay, she wants to do the right thing for her country and make the right decisions for her country. I don't see somebody that's just going to be Trump's lapdog. And that's another thing. If you've watched any of his shows or really read any of his materials, he doesn't want wimps. He doesn't want a bunch of butt lickers following around. He wants people that are going to get the job done. If you watch any of his shows, that's what he's like.
Yeah, he likes people to challenge him too. He's really smart, but he does like people to challenge him. It's true. Any really smart, good leader does. It makes you a better leader.
Well, the thing is, if you're going to go out with a bang, okay, this is it. Trump doesn't have to worry about running again. He just has to be successful because all the shit that was piled on him in his first 4 years, okay, it's a miracle that he got anything done. Honestly.
Yeah, I think I've looked at all of this and, growing up around presidents and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. I believe that we're going to have two different parties, right? And basically, okay, Trump always donated Democrat. He's always been a Democrat. Elon was a Democrat, right? There's a lot of Democrat influence in Trump's party. But I've had conversations with a lot of people my age and a little older, some of them in their 70s, who totally agree with what I'm fixing to say. And that is Trump is now the Democrat Party. And what used to be the Democrat Party is now Socialist Party. And I think what we're going to see come back in somehow, whether it's going to be the Tea Party or the Libertarians or whatever, are going to take over that. Because the mainstream America is who decided that we were going to have this mandate. And it's because we didn't like radicalism. And we have radicalism in Congress now, even with some of the right-wing leaders. So, I think 2026 is going to be the difference. How much do people really want to turn this country around to where we have two moderate parties that are different but can work together for the best of the American people? Because the last 12, 15 years, 16, call it whatever you want, the government has not worked for the American people. So we have to replace this older guard. Some of them have been there 42 years, 38, 36. Now, we can take care of term limits without them giving term limits when we draw together as the people and go, it's time for him to go. And when the system, when I was a little kid, right, I used to be up there around Washington or sometimes in Atlanta because I was involved in government people here too. They had this internship program and they bring the smartest, most, talented kids from high school and they would train them so that one day they could be elected, right? They did they pick them? Yeah, they pick them. But you want your best and your finest. And somehow around the 90s, it got to be where they didn't want to give up that stranglehold. And it was probably inside information on the market. That's how they all got to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars on a $170,000 salary, right? Mm-hmm. So that guard has got to be replaced. And what we do between now and 2026, if we're fervent about it and work as hard as we did to make sure we had people in every single election polling place and caught them red-handed trying to do what they did in 2020. And they would see all the people standing around watching and turn around and leave. They convicted somebody, I guess it was Arizona, where the idiots went ahead and unloaded the box, and they caught it on videotape. That individual has been charged. So how big is this mess? Bigger than we really think it is. But the way that we're going to get out of that and the way we're going to solve it is by electing people who have suffered through all of this just the way we have and learned, because our constitutional system has every answer in it we need. Go vote. That's
the thing is what I would like to see is I want to see where children are put back in the place to be children. Okay. Children aren't old enough to get married or to volunteer to say, yeah, I want to have sex with a grown up or anyone, have sex with anyone. Or I don't want to go to school anymore, or I want to cut off my penis, or I want to cut off my breasts as a child. Any of these things is wrong. Okay. Children should be children. They should be playing with toys, listening to music, playing outside, growing up, finding out what it's like to become someone, whoever it is that's in them, to evolve from their child, little babiness up to an adult. And to do that with their parents' love, their siblings' love, with their grandparents around them, with families, I want to see more families. I want to see more people to be able to pick what job they want and where they want to live. Okay. And be able to have the means to do that. And if they're in a state that treats them like shit because of their skin color, or because they're a man or a woman, or because they just don't like the crime rate or any of those things, they should be able to leave. They should be able to move. They should be able to have the means to make enough money to move and go to another state, a state that treats them better, more like what they feel like they deserve. And if people had those availabilities to do that, I think more people would leave these states, because I don't know a single mom or dad that has a family with small children that would want to grow up surrounded by crime, rapes, murders, drugs, gang violence, any of that stuff. If they could get out, they would. Most of these people stay there because they don't have the means to leave. They don't have the money. And if we didn't spend all the money bringing in people that can't even speak English, that haven't had a single vaccination since they were born, because I do believe in some vaccines. I just don't believe in this newest one that was just added to the list. Things like that, and treat our veterans with respect that they deserve, and make our senators have to have the same health care that our veterans have, and maybe some changes will be made, things like that. Simple changes to start treating people equally like we're supposed to be treated. I thought that's what the Constitution meant. Whether you're a man or a woman, young or old, we all should have the same rights if we're American citizens, period.
Yeah, well, I do believe a younger Congress would be, it's so silly. Everybody's like, they're too young. I'm thinking, excuse me, but this country was founded by 20-year-olds,
Mm-hmm.
So
if you're if you're old enough to pick up a rifle and go and be shipped to another country to fight for the American flag, I think you're old enough to be able to make changes in your state at different levels and run for office and things like that. I honestly believe that.
Yeah, well,
you're not old enough,
Democrats, you got to give, I don't know if you want to call them Democrats, socialists, whatever. The people who tried to overturn this country played it really well. I mean, they got everybody confused. It started out with don't be a hater. Look at who the haters are now. It's the very people that told us don't be a hater. Then they, cancel culture came. And if they didn't like you, they just canceled you. And it just got worse and worse till they started sexually mutilating children. And by then it's like, well, we let them do everything else, whatever.
But see, the sad truth about all of that is if you're not old enough to buy a pack of cigarettes, but you can tell your school counselor, I think I feel like a woman. And that school counselor could take you to a doctor, and a doctor that took an oath to do no harm can cut open a child and stop them from ever being able to have a child of their own.
Yeah, but Trump has a bunch of executive orders ready. And one of the ones that got leaked to me is they're banning all transition surgery to the age of 21.
Well, the thing is, the sad truth is that I had more faith in the states to want to fight for their own children than.
But that's what I'm saying. The Socialist Party. You got to keep in mind, these people literally thought they could depopulate the world. They talk about it. Okay. Mm-hmm. They literally talk about depopulating the world. It's really hard to believe that people would be serious and talk about that. But if you look at the actions these people took, it's kind of really the only outcome anybody could have possibly expected. That's why I'm so geared towards solutions, Janet. What they did was unthinkable. It was unthinkable. Now they're spraying shit all in the air. Back to that same old thing. They're playing God because they think that they're above us and over us. And until we get the lobbyists out of Washington and get some young, fresh faces in there who have suffered through all this with us that really don't want it to happen. Our grandchildren are screwed. They're screwed with this debt. We can't let it get worse. And what did they just do but lift the damn ceiling for the debt? Because it's out of control, right? It's not going to be easy for Trump to get this thing totally turned around, but he did it once before. The thing is, we can't sit back and relax.
The sad truth is he did get a lot done considering COVID and all the restrictions and the lockdowns, one state after another. And then some states didn't really do anything. I mean, I remember traveling between Arkansas and Louisiana back and forth, and most of the area between the big cities, there was nothing. People weren't wearing masks. People weren't sitting around in restaurants with masks on.
People in the country didn't give a damn.
They were like, what the hell is going on? This is stupid, that type of thing. But they didn't all die, and they didn't all get jabbed up either. So it depends on who's in charge and what state you're from and all those things. Now, I thought Texas was a lot redder than it is. Okay. But when I first started seeing some of these videos that were coming out, with people dressed as a woman or whatever, reading to children and different things like that, I thought, wow, that's in California. That's sad. I can't believe that's happening. And they said, no, this is a video from Austin, Texas. And I almost had a heart attack. And then I started writing all my friends and relatives that are from Texas saying, you guys better start fighting. You're going to lose your state. And they go, oh, only the cities are blue. And I'm like, that's where most of the people live. Okay. The city of New York, people just don't seem to comprehend this for some reason. Just the city. You take the city out of New York and you still have a whole buttload of land. You just take the city out and you still have shit tons of land. But guess what? There's more people in this one city than the whole state of Arkansas or Oklahoma, and probably 3 or 4 states. There's more people in the city than there is in 4 states. And people can't fathom that. They just can't comprehend it. They just can't see that. And then I go, what you need to do is get on Google and look at the state of Texas and look at I can't remember the name of the map, but I've had it. If I had it, darn, I wish I'd thought about it. I would have shared it. You look at the maps that show the population in a city compared to the population everywhere else. And it's scary when you see Austin, Houston.
You know what the first state You know what the first state was to enforce the vaccine mandate?
Mm-mm.
Texas.
It was?
Texas.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, there's a lot more liberals in the areas that you don't think there is, okay? Because the influx from New York and California and a few other states into Texas and Florida, I was petrified that they're purple already. Both those states are purple.
Yeah.
And if you another million people move into both those states, it might be over. They might be blue, and that's all it takes. The Electoral College will be won.
See, that's why they want to do the redistricting. Okay, so the Democrats
they still want to do that.
Okay, so your county, your counties, right? This county votes for Trump. Doesn't matter if there's 50 million people there, 10 million. Right? Or 400. Okay. If they voted for Trump, that county goes for Trump. So those electoral issues that mix in with popular vote, that's why people aren't really afraid of the inner city.
But see, that's one of the things that did happen to Colorado. Okay.
Yeah.
Colorado was very upset when Hillary Clinton lost the vote and she didn't win as president. Because she won the popular vote. So what did they do? They changed their law in Colorado, that whoever won the popular vote would win their state.
Colorado's out to lunch. People from Colorado.
Did they have 4 electoral college votes or something like that? I don't remember what it is for Colorado. But the thing is, what was funny is that because Donald Trump this time, the state went for Kamala Harris, but because Donald Trump won the popular vote, he got all their votes. So they basically screwed themselves over because they were pissed off. They were pissed. And when you act on emotion, I've heard you say that many times, when you act on emotion, you make mistakes.
Right.
So step back, wait 48 hours before you decide to make that big decision, because you might be making a big, bad mistake simply because you're doing it because you're saying, fuck you. I want you to, sit and spin or whatever it is. And you end up screwing yourself because you're upset. I've been that way many times. I'd be going, I just want to, someone cuts me off, or someone, like today when I left the grocery store, I was trying to get in my car and I could barely squeeze in because I couldn't open my door. That person pulled in so close, I barely could get in. I was like, thank God I'm skinny. Is all I could think of, because I was gonna say, how am I gonna get in? I can't get in my own vehicle because I can't open the door. And the other side, there was a little more room. I could have got in, crawled over the seat or whatever, but you get pissed off because you see these people are selfish and they don't care about other people. All they're thinking about is my own needs. And if we could start changing the way people think, to start caring more about their neighbors and stuff like that, we'll see a change. And that's why when we have disasters, like the wildfires and stuff, people were saying, I heard so many people saying horrible stuff about people in California. Well, they deserve it. Hollywood deserves it. They go, everyone that lives there are not assholes. Most people that live there are waitresses, different normal jobs, just like us. And they're losing everything. They're losing everything they have. Some of them have even lost their loved pets that they had to leave when they evacuated really quickly. And it's sad, but it warmed my heart to see people, some of these stars even coming out and trying to help people, helping them evacuate, giving them water, going back and trying to get their pet out of their home, stuff like that. It's nice to see that we still have that type of people in our country that still care enough for someone else to give the shirt off their back for them, those type of things. We saw it all when during the mudslides, all the people trying to get out and help people. After 9/11, all those people that were sending dogs and fire trucks and police officers and military people to go and help, find the people that were trapped under all the rubble, things like that. After the Oklahoma City bombing, same thing. So we do have a country, at least half the people in this country that do have a heart and want to see other people be safe and not see people hurt. And then we have more people, it seems like now, that want to see other people suffer. Like people telling me that I should go live in a camp because I didn't want to get the shot, that I was going to kill people. And guess what? How do I kill people when I never had COVID?
I mean, people took their phones out in a crowd and videotaped a man burn a woman to death in a subway. That tells you all you need to know about people. You can't put the phone down, try to save the woman, right? I mean, you really hit a nail on the head. That we got rubbernecking is a really bad thing in society. Whether it's
that was happening for a long time. I don't know how long ago it was, but there was a woman in California, and she went to the door, okay, and some guy, some psycho, was at her door, and he started stabbing her. I don't know if it was her ex-boyfriend or what. I don't know what it was, but he was stabbing her at the front door, and she's screaming at the top of her lungs. And after they interviewed people, the witnesses and stuff, there was 10 or 15 people in the street that just stood there and watched her screaming.
Yeah.
A guy that was down the street a little bit up on a pole, telephone worker or whatever, shimmied down the thing and ran and jumped the guy and stopped him from stabbing her. But he was way down the street. That was years and years ago, at least 20 years ago, maybe. I'd have to look it up. But the sad truth is it's just gotten worse instead of it getting better. And then you have a young man that was in the subway, a young Marine that choked a guy because he was hurting people in the subway. And then he ends up having to defend himself in court over it instead of being able to defend himself and other people. And then you had that father who walked out and he was in his farm or whatever, and he walked out and he caught one of the ranch hands or whatever assaulting his daughter, and he beat him with his bare hands, and he beat him to death. Okay. And he had to go to court. Now, he didn't get any jail time because basically, even though he wasn't defending himself, he was defending his young daughter.
I got a funny feeling that Bondi's going to end all that kind of stuff.
Well, the thing is that
Bondi's about to change all that.
We have tons and tons of criminals. We have tons and tons of drug addicts and convicts that get out and want to go right back to prison because they don't want to get back into society. But we have other people that do go to prison that want to get better and want to help. Okay. So we have them on both sides. We have people that want to do good and people that want to do bad. And we have to come together and say, okay, what's the best way to fix our city? And do it in your own town. Start in your own town trying to make changes. Reach out and try to help other people. I'm not saying with money, because when you hand money over to a company that says they're going to do this and do that, how do you know they did anything? How do you know you're not just giving them money and they're just wasting it on whatever? Okay. The best way to know what happens with it is by you doing it. You donating the money to someone.
That's right.
You go and buy a box full of food and take it and deliver it to somebody you know needs some help. Little things like that. That's how we can help. Like me, I used to volunteer every summer to pick up trash on the side of the road, or go to the different shelters and donate clothing, shoes, whatever I could, and help in different ways. Go to the animal shelter and give them food, dog food, cat food, blankets for the animals, and then or stand there and try to talk to other people saying, please get your pets spayed and neutered. Don't dump your pets. I live in the country and I've had half my chickens were killed last year because somebody dumped off a 6-month-old puppy that was a Christmas puppy that they didn't want because now it was chewing up stuff or peeing in the house or whatever. Instead of training their pet, they just dump it. They just take it out in the middle of nowhere and dump it. They don't care whether it ever eats again, whether it has food or a place to sleep. They could care less, or getting hit by a car. And I see cats and dogs dumped out here all the time. To me, that should be illegal. A person who dumps an animal like that should get jail time because they're putting it to death. They might as well, they should have taken it and just shot it in the head themselves instead of just dumping it and leaving it for someone else. Because then, you know what happened when they dumped that dog on me? I had another dog down the street that one of my sisters ended up finding. She was able to find a home for it, but it was like 6 months old, a Christmas puppy, basically. And what happened to me, I came home. I was gone to my dad's. I wasn't even here. So the dog was overnight, chewing up my porch, killing my chickens, and I wasn't there. So, she did that. Well, what I do was I caught her, I put her on a leash, and I took her to the shelter to get her to look and see if she had a chip in her, because she was a solid white, beautiful shepherd with beautiful blue eyes. So someone spent money on her. At least I thought so. But she wasn't chipped. So I cried all the way home going, God, why did you give me this dog? Why did you bring this dog to my house? Why did I have to be dumped? This dog had to be dumped and be in my house. And so I ended up spending like $1,500 on this dog. I bought a dog house and food. I got her all her shots and I got her spayed. And then I started trying to find a home for her. And nobody wanted her because I would tell them she kills chickens. And then everybody's going, why are you telling anyone that she kills chickens? I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Give it to someone that lives down the street and have them kill all their pets? And I'm supposed to think that's okay? I'm not going to lie to people. I'm not going to give a dog away that's going to be taken down the road and dumped somewhere else. So because I was decent and tried to be a good person, yeah, it cost me a shit ton of money because I gave a shit about someone else's pet that they got for their kid and then just took it away and dumped it. And they probably told their kid that it ran away or whatever it was. But it's sad that we have grown-ups that do that kind of stuff. And they still do it. And that person probably got another puppy this last Christmas. And they'll probably do the same damn thing when it starts chewing up their stuff. It's sad. It's sad that that's the kind of people we have. And I live in a red state. So just because I live in a red state doesn't mean that there's no crime and that there's no bad people. There's still bad people in red states. It's just that you and I have to fight in our towns to try to fix that kind of problem. And
Janet, you know what? You said something a while ago, and it really is. It's the only answer we have. When we all start treating each other the way we want to be treated, when we all help that suffering person on the street, and then when we're having a hard time, someone helps us. When we love each other the way we want to be loved, when we want to see mercy for the other guy the way we want to see mercy for ourselves, not judging everybody and, oh, you're this horrible thing, and then we get in trouble. We want mercy. We want everybody, oh, it's all right. It's those things happen, blah, blah, blah. No.
Shit happens.
When the humanity is already here. We have leaders that aren't ready to do this yet. But the age of abundance is surely coming. AI is changing everything. Where the infrastructure bill money got stolen, it was spent during COVID. I mean, how absurd is that? They put $1.2 trillion for benefit checks, $1.2 trillion for what they called was going to be an infrastructure bill. All $2.4 trillion was gone before they took us out of our lockdowns. Where did that money go? They weren't building roads. We were all locked in our house, right? So all of these things that have to be unraveled and undone. My feeling is I don't care about you spending $2.4 trillion. We got a lot of shit to do in America to get us caught up from all the scamming and ripping off and robbing of the American taxpayer that's gone on since the 90s. But if we spend the money wisely, then we'll live in that amazing place that we all want to live in. That's the government's business. our business about being people is just love your neighbor like yourself, because then there's no need. Why would we need benefit money from the government and all of this? We just put people to work. I mean, this one of the most radical things that people think I say is a bunch of those people who came across that border, right? There's a few bad people in there, but Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri had to close their housing over black mold. They need to basically rebuild the entire base, right? I can tell you right now, them Central American boys will build a house for you in 2 or 3 days, right? If we can open our minds to the meritocracy idea and use these people to spend all this money they've been, who cares about a mouse being high on cocaine and drunk and what it does to their sexuality? Why would anybody give a damn about that? But they'll spend $10 million on it. You could take that same $10 million with some migrants, giving them a chance to earn citizenship by working, and all this stuff we're behind on, we could get back straight. And you mentioned something else a while ago, and I've had this conversation twice already this week, so I'm going to say it now. I wanted to know what area all of world humanity could live in. And then I wondered, well, how could you do that? So I looked up what the greatest population per square mile is in any area in the world. And oddly enough, it came up Monaco, that, down the south of France, Marseille or whatever it is, where all these rich people live, where they have the Monaco race. So that was 25,000 people per square mile. Well, I figured, if they're going to fit anywhere, they'll fit in Alaska. So I put the math formula together and I did Alaska, and over half of Alaska was open range. And then I did it for Texas, and when I did this, there were 8.6 billion people, and now there's only 7.2. No, I said that backwards. There was 8.2. Now there's 7.6. So you could still do this now and have more room left over than before. Over 600 billion people or whatever that is. So if you could build all those high rises in one place and put the whole world's population like that, the rest of the world could overgrow green. So there's not as many people in the world as everybody wants to make you believe, especially the ones that want to depopulate. I disagreed with bringing migrants here. For the amount of money that we've paid to bring the migrants here, we could have gone to their countries and helped them build successful economies. But their problem is they won't fight their corrupt governments. They were under the same siege we were.
We sent for 50, 60, 70 years, we've been sending aid to almost every country in South America. And instead of them doing anything for their people, the people
abscond with the money. Yeah, they steal the money.
They don't do anything. So if we do send anything to any country for any aid of any kind, we need a receipt that says we're going to do this, that, and the other with it. See?
Yeah, and that's why I come into this. I come into the migrants come here and they learn our way of life, and then they want to carry their flags and push their way of life on us, when in reality, they should take our technology and our skills back to the countries they come from and try to get in office or, do whatever it is they're going to do to help their own country. If they love it so much they want to carry their flag, go home and take all the wonderful things you learned.
They don't. That's why they're here. They hate their country. And then when they are here and we're giving them money and we're giving them a place to live, food on their plates, doctors' bills, everything, schools for their kids, they take the money and send it back to their home country instead of putting it back in, investing it here, because they don't have anything they don't have to pay for nothing.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to face that what happened in the last 4 years under Mayorkas and under Kamala. Then, and both of those are non-citizens, really. Kamala gets away with citizenship, but by the letter of the law, when her parents conceived her and she was born here, they were illegally here working without even permits past their work permits that they had. So in all reality, she was not even a citizen. And even if she was an anchor baby. Now, you got to just ponder for a second. What are the policies of an anchor baby going to be? To promise all the other anchor babies that they can be the vice president one day too, when that is not legal. It's not legal. And, that excludes Elon from being able to run for office, who is a great manager of money and manager of people, and he would be a good one. And so Trump, some of the people that Trump picked for his cabinet are people who we've worked with all the time to try to get all these things reversed, to be able to tell the truth on X, to be able to not have to be afraid to tell the truth, right? And this is not just, this is a movement. I keep telling some of my friends, look, quit worrying about all the screaming and bitching the Democrats are doing. We're a steamroller, and if they don't get out of the way, they're going to be part of the road, right? And people can either get on board or not get on board. But there's so much going on with our world right now with the sun flares and Beetlejuice trying to blow up. They're talking about maybe we won't have electricity for 3 years and all this. Well, if that's the case, we got a lot of work to do as a people to make sure we survive those kind of things.
What do you think it's going to be like if something like that was to happen in all the big cities?
Oh my God!
Nobody had
first
power.
off, everybody
No cell phone, no TV. I mean,
yeah, well, everybody on a piece of medical equipment keeping them alive, they're going to die. Okay, the wastewater treatment plants quit working. They can't pump water because all of that is electric. You got no cell phone towers. Oh, you're talking about mayhem. All the food that's there would be rotted in the grocery stores. Yeah, I just went through it in 2 different hurricanes, okay? First, the one at the farm in Houston, and then came home, and that one came right over my house here in Georgia. The eye went over my house. Oh, my God, we're still cleaning up. You know, they offered people $750. So me and a couple of my friends last said that I lost more than that in my freezer. You know, that's the kind of loss we had. Big street trash barrels full of frozen meat and deer meat and every other thing. And it smelled. There was so much rotten food, right?
Yeah.
Now, you ponder that's just a hurricane going through here doing one city. Man, the port cities, people will migrate to the port cities to get food off of ships. If the ships can even work. You know, they'll have to use radios instead.
Well, you know what's going to happen in the big cities? You're going to have people start looting everything and robbing their neighbors for their water and their food and whatever else they might get.
And see, that's exactly what the whole age of abundance and human consciousness thing is we don't need to keep worrying about these governments that want to fight wars, petty wars over personalities and attitudes and all this other bullshit. We got to pull together because it's pretty much going to happen. And the idea of that mayhem you just described is unthinkable when humanity is just better than that. You know,
see,
people get propaganda from news and all this stuff.
I feel safer where I'm at now. Okay.
Oh, you're in a good place.
If something like that was to happen, because sooner or later they will come out into the the boonies to take whatever I have or whatever. But it'd take a while. You know, it'll give me more time to prepare, and hopefully I'll be prepared.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that, Janet. People aren't going to go out in the country like that. I don't believe it. I believe they'll run to the shipping areas. A lot of people are going to die. I mean, literally, I saw something this week where me and Ben Davidson have been talking about this for 20 years. They used to tell us we are crazy and throw us offline. Now NASA is talking about it, literally posting on their NASA sites, all this stuff that I'm talking about right now. They predicted maybe 85 to 90% of humanity will die if this occurs. You know, and we don't know. It's due for 6,000 years. We know that 12,000 years ago there was one. They're all named.
Lots of countries, though. Lots of countries that have, like Africa, where people live in huts and they're hunter-gatherers and things like that. Still, it's not gonna affect them hardly at all.
Well, we
Only
know
the
something's
people in
coming.
the big cities.
There's a gap. There's a gap in the earth in California now. There's a huge gap in basically a whole piece of Africa is about to break off. Like I mean, not a little bit of Africa, a lot of Africa, and it's growing every day. And they just reported this week that a great big huge area opened up, and that if that size area does that again, then it will go off of Africa and become an island. And then
is
Iceland,
that causing earthquakes and stuff too?
Well, I was going to say Iceland had fissure earthquakes today. Well, Iceland is where the thinnest layer of mantle is over the crust is over the mantle, and literally, so we're the point of stretching of the tectonic plates is kind of picking up, and that's sort of going along with, you know, the fact that the sun is doing some different stuff. The magnetic shield has changed, and then the polar vortex broke down on the Arctic pole, and we're about to get a real big dose of cold weather, way colder than normal, for a period of 10 days. And that what's bringing that cold air is that broken finger of the vortex that's coming so south. And that's why it snowed in Mexico City last year. And this is another one of those storms like that that's coming down. And North Dakota, minus 60 degrees or something they're predicting. I mean, that's Arctic temperatures. But the problem is that the polar vortex is more like, almost like lake water. It's so thick up there and so cold that it doesn't even mix with our normal atmosphere. So whenever it weakens like it has from all of this extra solar energy coming in from the weak magnetic field, when it opens up, it you know, the hole up there is way bigger, but that separate air comes out and down into the continents. I mean, last year they were scraping bodies off of the sidewalk that froze to it in Milwaukee and Chicago and these other places because the migrants were out there in their tents. They froze to death. So this is a big fear that has to be dealt with. And it's not climate change, mankind. Last year, one volcano that's on the Ring of Fire went off in North Russia, up in Siberia area. And they measured everything that came out of that, and it was 100 times more carbon and emissions and all those kind of things than mankind could ever produce. Just one volcano did that. Well, they go off all the time everywhere, right? So if those volcanoes, it would be a scant amount of any difference we would make if we stopped all of those kind of things. And when we had the shutdowns, this one scientist that was I guess he was at NOAA. And so he just decided to take a look at the heat islands. And in the first 90 days of the shutdowns, the heat islands totally disappeared. So he did this really long paper about how all of mankind's stuff just gets sort of absorbed by the global system because it's such a scant amount compared to one of these huge volcanoes. And he looked into that because of all this, what I'm talking about here. They really wanted to know. So the global warming thing, without a doubt, is a myth. All of this is based on the shifting magnetic shield, the ocean belt, which is malfunctioning right now. So water up in the north is getting too warm. That plays into it. If that belt shuts down, we'll have another ice age, you know? And so we don't really know what's going to happen. We just know that these cycles that all line up, it's time for this cycle to begin. And a lot of what those cycles are, we're already seeing more than enough evidence with ionospheric charge and all this other stuff. I can't even go into it. It's, you know, it's real deep, but that's what's changed our weather. Even right now, the El Nino is really coming into northern Chile. Well, it normally blows through LA. That had something to do with these fires. You can bet on it. And they're hoping and praying that some rain, which would normally be there at this time of year in LA, will come down from the lower Baja in the Chile area and bring moisture with it.
Yeah.
I mean, this time of year, it's usually pretty wet down in Southern California. It's just not blowing in this year that way. But 800-mile shift in El Nino, that's odd. I don't even remember. They said the last time it happened was 1908 or something.
Well, at least they have it on record. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So at least we know that it's happened before. It's not something that's never happened. That's kind of interesting because I keep waiting to hear somebody say that caldera under Yellowstone.
Yeah, no, they just came out
like
with
that.
a big thing. No, they were really worried about Yellowstone blowing up, right? And so they just did this great, big, huge thing and said, yeah, no, it's probably not going to blow up. They're having a lot of activity up there, but it's more related to sliding in the tectonic plate. It's not really the kind of eruption deal because the fact of the matter is if that caldera blew from one side to the other, nobody would survive that to the east. There's no way anybody to the east would survive it. And then anybody who's, lives around there, oh my God.
Yeah, but it would also depend on the way the wind's blowing and stuff too.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the wind never blows. Yeah, the jet stream is always going to push everything to the east. And, that's the way it is. The jet stream and the El Nino or El Nina both blow in that direction. Everything comes in from the Atlantic and turns north, and most everything comes in from the Pacific turns south. And then the jet stream comes down from Alaska across the country.
Well, I was just going to say we've been going at it for over almost 3 hours.
Yeah, I know.
So I was going to say I'm really beat myself. I'm really tired, and my allergies have just been horrible the last few days.
Well, I love doing these things with you. See, we always get to talk about a lot of different things, and
I know, but hey, it's good. I mean, there was a lot of stuff to talk about, and it all leads from one thing to another. That's the way it is. That's reality, for real conversations. But
well,
thank you very much.
I've got a real positive outlook, on the future and the people that I talk to, and then I'm really fortunate to have friends in Congress and big business, and everybody's really encouraged.
Well, I have a good outlook on what's coming because I do believe that the people came out in masses and made a decision, and I think we made a good decision. I really do, and I will. I'm really happy about what our future can hold for us if we follow through in our own states and and all of us hold our people that we just put into office accountable for their actions, and make sure that we call, email, and do all the different things to stay up on it and say, hey, we're expecting some good things and we want to see it. I'm lucky. I'm in a state where our governor's already been going gangbusters on making decisions that they feel is best for the people in the state of Arkansas. So, I'm lucky to have that, but not everybody has that type of a governor. So, hopefully their people will start fighting.
Look at the people who have come over to our party with Bezos and Zuckerberg and Bill Gates. They were the neocons behind all of this crazy stuff.
See, I don't trust any of them. I don't care what.
And they shouldn't be trusted. They shouldn't be trusted, but even they're aware of all the wrongness, and they're willing to at least come over and talk to the winning side. The riots and all that kind of stuff, that's counterproductive.
If they couldn't talk, actions speak louder than words. So I can't wait to see what they do. If I see them doing something, then I might be less asinine to them.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But I just want to
we're getting the hostages back. So if that doesn't tell you something, I mean, right? Yeah,
that's just like what happened with
in charge, trust me.
That's happened before with like Reagan or something, that they'd kidnapped some people or something. Yeah. And when they found out Reagan get in, he said, "But they better release them or they're going to be sorry." And they did.
A lady,
and he wasn't even president yet.
Yeah, there's a lady at George Washington University. She runs the psychiatry department. She was a statesman back when that happened. And she was the State Department official who was on the plane with my dad when they brought those hostages out of Iran. So yeah, this is exactly like that, which was very personal to me because my father was involved. But Ethel Roberts is still alive, and she was on that trip on the plane with my dad. She's at GWU.
Well, I'm just happy. I can't wait to Monday. I'll be doing a stream on another channel, and we're going to be talking about the inauguration and stuff. So I'm really excited about that. But I just want to say thank you to everybody who hung out with us on Rumble, on X, and on YouTube. And hopefully we were able to give you a couple laughs at the beginning and share a few. I shared a few links, and I put your X, at whatever you want to call it, for your page. I've shared it like 5 or 6 times on Rumble and on YouTube and on X for anybody so they can follow you or whatever. But I just want to say thank you for joining me tonight.
Janet. Yeah, you do a lot to help me get my stuff out. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate you a lot for, coming at the last minute, basically. But, a lot of good stuff did happen. I saw 3 very strong people stand up against a bunch of bullshit. So they're going to do a good job when they get in there. I think they're going to go in there, and they're all making their little teams ready to go. And it's going to be really, really great. I'm really excited about it. And I can't wait to see them in action. But I want to say thank you to everybody that stopped in. And you guys have a wonderful weekend because it's Friday morning tomorrow. So talk to all of you later.
Thanks, Janet.
First off, let me convey to my family, friends, and supporters that now is not the time to gloat. We must remember that most of our left-leaning friends are good people who want the same things in life as we do, but simply think differently on how to get there. It is now time to be the bigger man, to extend an olive branch and unite all reasonable people of this great nation. God has blessed America, and together with President Trump, we will make America great again.